I see your dirty face, hide behind your collar. What is done in vain? Truth is hard to swallow, so you pray to God to justify the way you live a lie, live a lie, live a lie. And you take your time, and you do your crime. Well, you made your bed, I made mine. Because when I arrive, I bring the fire, make you come alive. I can take you higher, what this is. For God, I must now remind you, let it rock, let it rock, let it rock. Now the son's disgraced, he who knew his father when he cursed his name, turned and chased the dollar, but it broke his heart, so he stuck his middle finger to the world, to the world, to the world. And you take your time, and you stand in line, where you'll get what's yours. I got mine. Because when I arrive, I bring the fire, make you come alive. I can take you higher, what this is. For God, I must now remind you, let it rock, let it rock, let it rock. Yeah, Wayne's World, Planet Rock, panties drop, and the top. And she gon' rock till the camera stop. I sing about angels like Angel Eye, rock, and Pay My Life, rock, and Samadai, rock, and Amanda, and Tamara, me, Najee, moi. I'm in here like, bitch, what's up? Mechanic, me, I can fix you up, I can dig you up, I can dig you down. Shout it, we could go wherever, just pick a town. And my jewelry is louder than an engine sound. Big ass rocks like on the ground, dirty like socks that's on the ground. We say, because when I arrive, I bring the fire, make you come alive. I can take you higher, what this is. For God, I must now remind you, let it rock, let it rock, let it rock. Because when I arrive, I bring the fire, make you come alive. I can take you higher, what this is. For God, I must now remind you, let it rock, let it rock, let it rock. Just let it rock, let it rock.
When I walk on by, girls be looking like Debbie Fly. I pick to the beat, walking down the street and I knew the freak, yeah. This is how I roll, animal print pants out control. It's Red Bull with the big ass bra, and like Bruce Lee, I got the clout, yeah.
Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body.
I work out.
Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body.
I work out when I walk in the spot. This is what I see. Everybody stops and is staring at me. I got passion in my pants and I ain't afraid to show it, show it, show it, show it.
I'm sexy and I know it. I'm sexy and I know it.
Yeah, when I'm at the mall, security just can't fight them all. And when I'm at the beach, I'm in a Speedo trying to tan my cheeks. What? This is how I roll. Come on, ladies, it's time to go. We headed to the bar, baby, don't be nervous. No shoes, no shirt, and I still get service. Watch.
Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body.
I work out.
Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body.
I work out when I walk in the spot. This is what I see. Everybody stops and is staring at me. I got passion in my pants and I ain't afraid to show it, show it, show it, show it.
I'm sexy and I know it.
Aye.
I'm sexy and I know it.
Check it out. Check it out. Wiggle, 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 yeah. Wiggle, 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 yeah. Wiggle, 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 yeah. Wiggle, 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 yeah, yeah. Do the wiggle, man. I do the wiggle, man. Yeah. I'm sexy and I know it. Hey. Yeah.
Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body.
I work out.
Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body.
I work out.
All right. Sorry I had to cut the song off. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's the Ceremonial Witch back here. However, we're back on magic on a budget. Holy shit. He's doing a lot of magic on the budget. And he's not really talking about how we can do magic on a budget. Well, if you're not reading between the lines, well, you need to go back and take the advice of all my earlier episodes. Maybe listen to my earlier episodes. Go to Frater's channel. Go to Bert's channel. Get on the books. And because if you're not extracting lessons just from things I'm saying, and it's not a problem if you're not, that's okay. That happens. Some people learn different. Some people need told exactly right to the point. Some people can extract from stories and stuff like that. That's why different teachers have different methods. So there's a teacher for every different person, basically. Eventually, you do need to learn how to extract the story out of the thing. I said I wasn't going to post links, but I had posted links for this one. And the only reason is because I put 3 videos on here. But another reason I don't like to post links, because something Bert said, he likes to lead people down the path, but he doesn't like to give them the exact answers, because something that he was told and taught was wisdom happens sometimes in the search for knowledge. Okay. Frater says wisdom is when you apply your knowledge to experience and you get wisdom. But I understand what they're both trying to say. You get wise through, because you can have knowledge of something. Someone can tell you something and you can understand it. You can understand metaphysical concepts. You can understand the subconscious mind and all that. However, just understanding the subconscious mind and coming on here and explaining what other people have told you, you're going to be able to tell people what's going on. But unless you've taken what you know, what you've learned from those people, and put it into practice, you won't have a great understanding. It's one way how you can tell someone who's on the internet is fake or real. And a lot of those fake people don't understand that. They'll start building on what they learned and adding concepts to it, and sometimes they'll be right, because everybody does have some kind of intuition, however small or large. Some people are born with a good intuition and will never get into this stuff. It's just the way it is. So if one of those people have really good intuition, well, then they might actually get things and say things, right? Birch has said he's done that, although he's somebody who's trained at this, but he was probably also somebody born with that same thing, and because he does the same ability, and because he's expanded his mind and been in this game for years and decades, he's really good at it now. I've also done it, not always. I'd say 8 out of 10 of the things, if I start going on a whim, which I really try not to, I try to stop myself and say, I don't have the knowledge, so I'll leave it at that, or move on, or, say I'm going to go get the knowledge for it. But I have done it. You get on one of those rants and you're kind of channeling information, and you don't, like I said, it's subtle. Anybody who doesn't channel, who is listening to people talking about how, the spirit comes in your body, you got to set boundaries, this and that and the other thing, and they can feel them and you hear them talking. I'm not going to say that's fake, because I don't believe that's fake. I do know there was a point in time where that's how, channeling and, seances and stuff like that, that's how it occurred. We weren't at the place we are today. As, we're as strong as our weakest link, right? But our strongest link make, the middle people evolve as well. So what I'm trying to say there is everybody who's in magic, everybody who's expanding their mind, everybody who's getting good at this stuff, everybody who's getting the connections and getting, the all those clairaudience and cognizance and voyance and all those things, everybody who's doing the magic and tapping into the subconscious mind, okay? We're raising the bar for everybody below us, okay? We are expanding that, all right? If our highest person and our lowest person, aren't very far within the scale, the highest people aren't putting all the shit they know into practice, so there's really no difference from them and the lowest people on the scale. All right, let's compare it to like a sport, right? If your highest people on the team are good goal scorers and good defensemen, if it's hockey, they're good offense and defense, all right? And your worst person on the team is only a good defense, okay, well, that's as strong. Your team is as strong as that weak guy, because you can only have your strong guys on all the time. When that weak guy comes on, the other team's going to capitalize upon that. So it's the same thing with our society. So we are only as strong as our weakest people. We can't all evolve until we evolve those weak motherfuckers, those people that can't evolve, or they die off and we restart with them, which is another necessary reason why people die, why death isn't a bad thing. Because if you got some evil fuckers doing some evil things, they're allowed to do that. They're not even going to get penalized for that. There is no heaven or hell for people that do good or bad. But you just realize what it is. And, just like that person can do evil, you can do absolute good. You can protect your whole family from that person to the point where they can't do a fucking thing. And you can say, well, how is that possible? This person can run in my house at any time with a fucking gun and shoot my family. Okay, that is possible, but if you're dwelling on that, you're attracting that to come to you. If you decide to not attract that and decide to try to help that person and or not focus on it, channel, you can be a rat with your powers if you want. And if you're going to rat on somebody who's trying to kill people, well, that's not really being a rat to me. You're protecting people. So you can always find out where he is, help the police, blah, 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 blah. The point I'm trying to get at, which has nothing to do with the episode today, but us evolving is helping society, because the higher we go, the more people that come out and say this stuff is real, like I'm doing, the more people experience and have this, the more wisdom we all get, then it's going to filter down. Because there are people that are on the fence right now with their life that will never admit it. They're going to be in that crowd of people saying magic isn't real and the occult isn't real, and which just means hidden. But they're going to be the ones, saying whatever. They might even be the Christians. They might even be whatever. They can be in all types of groups. There could be people in magic right now that don't really believe in magic, and they're just there because everybody around them, their friends, believe in it, and they just want to fit in, kind of thing. But they're too scared to say anything. But the more people that come out, expand their knowledge, get the results, the more the information's out there, the more it's able to reach people. We are all connected, all right? What happens to me is happening to someone else somewhere else. I don't know if you want to call that twin flame connection and all that, which I tend to believe that's kind of inside with your two minds more than it's with another person. But there's as above, so below. So if inside you have a twin flame where your guy and your girl mind, your positive and your negative energy in your body, that's the two together, well, then you also probably have that with someone outside. That makes sense to me, knowing what I know about hermetic fucking principles and shit like that. But that'll be a show for another time. So when people say twin flame is with another person, they're right. When people say twin flame is within your body, they're right. It's not one or the other. It's probably both. And there's probably more correspondence to that. You could have a twin flame probably with an animal, with an insect, with a fucking house, with your parents. It doesn't matter. Anyways, like I said, that's something for another show. I don't think that's something that can really help people unless they can't understand why some people do what they do. And, that person technically could be their twin flame who's just helping them evolve. As much as it hurts to think that someone that you love, who probably loves you, is hurting you for all these reasons. Bad exists to make us do good, basically, to learn that we don't need police and all these motherfuckers to say, hey, do good. We got the police say, do good or you go to jail. We got the priest saying, do good or you go to hell. It's like, come on. We know this shit. We're not going to do this shit. We're not going to just be mean to be mean, If you motherfuckers didn't make us fucking be slaves and work, and then as soon as we become fucking 16, give us fucking credit cards and cell phones and run up our fucking debt, then yeah, we wouldn't have to do illegal activity. Most people are getting high with illegal drugs or doing illegal fucking jobs and shit like that just because they can't make it by. So they want to numb the pain or they want to try to get ahead. You know, there's a lot of fucking illegal activity that technically, when somebody working under the table can get in trouble. You know what I mean? And they're just trying to provide for their family. But anyways, it's very hypocritical to have cops and tell us we're going to go to hell when in fact these people are making us in debt and do these things. Now, no one makes you do anything. You have a choice. But because this knowledge isn't out there unless you search it, if you don't know how to search it, then you could, get locked up into something like that. But anyways, I forgot what I was talking about. I forgot how I started this whole fucking conversation. Oh yeah, knowledge and wisdom. Holy shit. All right, so knowledge, like he said, there is wisdom in looking for stuff. By the act of finding something, you could be led down a bunch of different rabbit holes. Will eventually help you out. You might, I can just tell you or give you a fucking book or whatever. And all good, I got the book, and you might not do it or look at it. But if you go try to find that fucking book and search it, you may find similar books that help. You may find similar information that you actually work to find that fucking book. You might actually be proud. Whereas it's kind of the same concept as, paying for something versus not paying for it. Basically, I've already said this too, time is more valuable than money. Therefore, time is also like a currency because you can't get time back. Money you can get back. Sometimes it's harder after you spend it, and you do have to put in time to get money. Most people anyways. So putting in the time to look for something, you're basically paying for that knowledge. Like Frater said that, and when he said that, it like fucking light bulb clicked right away because he said, you can go looking for this knowledge, and he had to. That he's kind of the same thing, same concept that I said. Maybe that's where I got it. I'm out here trying to help the people that can't afford to pay for courses from those guys or whatever. I want to help those people out with the basics. I'm starting to get into other ideas and concepts. Like today is going to be a pretty cool thing when I interpret astrology and the element of air and water to what Jerry Tennant was talking about and what the books I'm about to give you clips of, and I gave the links for. Now, one of those links is on a different YouTube channel. It's The Yogi Science of Breath, and it's a great book. Read it or listen to it on there. Now, the other two aren't online, and if anybody wants them, I have all three of these PDFs. Even the other one that's on YouTube that isn't through my fucking page. But the other two are on my page, and it was just me literally going on the PDF, hitting slideshow, and doing a screen recording of that and putting it on there. So basically, if you want to read it through YouTube, you'll have to actually pause it and read the page and then press play because then it automatically, keeps scrolling through the pages. It's probably something like 15 seconds on a double page that's there. So, not the best way to read a book, but I wanted to put it out there because, if you don't hit me up for a book, well, then you can't read these books. If you don't have the money, if you don't know how to look for it, which is pretty simple to look for, I never explained that. But if you don't, and you don't want to, and you can't, blah, 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 you don't want to have it saved on your computer for whatever reason, or you can't save stuff on your computer or whatever, if you don't have an email, whatever the reason is. I'm trying to help everybody for everybody's specific circumstances, but there's a limitation to that as well, some people may actually need the physical printed copy. And I don't have any print in my printer. However, if I did, I would do that. It would take time because I have to send it to you. It's a lot easier if you have like an email or something like that I could send it to and you just print it up yourself. But I would totally do that for people, but I can't right now. I don't have ink in the printer. It's not that we don't have the money for it, but if we do buy the ink, well, then people are going to use it. And it's going to get used for no reason. So we kind of wait until school starts and the kids have projects and they need to do shit like that. Then we'll fucking get the ink. Because, that's going to happen. And one project's going to make us buy an ink cartridge. But, the kids are all going to want pictures and things like that until it's all gone. So it's one of those things that we only buy as we need. Anyways, so, that's how you get wisdom. And the more people that get the wisdom and search up the stuff and look at it, as you're looking for stuff, you're giving it hits and all that. And it's more popular, so more people can find it. It shows up on people's things and pages and all that. But anyway, so today is about air and water, okay? Today is the continuation, if you look at the title, it's a continuation from what Jerry Tennant was talking about. Now, I'm putting the healing stuff on the Magic on a Budget channel, like I said. And the only reason is because I'm technically not getting into healing magic, although these books that I'm giving you, it is esoteric and occult knowledge. All right. But it's everyday stuff. But, the books I'm talking about today is looking at breath in a whole new fucking light. Looking at breath as a magical process. Looking at breath as, we can't see spirits, but we know they're there. We can't see certain rays, like UV rays and shit like that. We can't see that, but we know they're there, right? Well, it's the same thing with spirit. It's the same thing with prana, Qui-Gon, or Qui-Gon, whatever you want to call it. Whatever is in the air that gives us the energy, that gives us electricity. Water is not the only electricity. I went into depth with the water and the salt and all that. But adding water with Himalayan sea salt is putting electrolytes in your body, giving you electric charge. The more electric charges you put in your body like that, the more alkaline the water is, the better for you. That's just plain old simple what Jerry Tennant got at basically in that thing. He went into more in depth on how the system actually works, how exercise is another way that that cells get energy, but to actually heal cells that are damaged. Alkaline water, that's why fruits are good, because they have minerals in it, and they're supposed to have salts and different things like that in them. Salt is very important. Anyways, but air is prana. There's a life force in the air. That's actually what makes us do what we do, makes us move. It's one of those things that you can use breath to heal yourself. There's actually breatharians out there that only breathe. I'm not going to tell you if that's true or not, because someone could just fake that. But I think those guys are legit. I think it's possible. Air and water are very important to the human body. You can go without food. People say you can't go without water, but these breatharians are kind of proving that. However, in breath, there is water. H2O. Air and water are the same thing. They are opposites, which the Kabbalion states opposites are the same. They're just different polarities. Water to a fish is like air to us. I've said this many times. We drown on water. Fish drown on air. They can't breathe. What is drowning? It's like suffocating. When you say you slit someone's throat, they basically drown on their own blood is how they die, apparently. Oh, I don't like talking about that. It makes me fucking... Oof. Oh, sorry about that. Anyways, so air and water are very important. And he hit on that, how emotions can get stuck in you. So I'm going to break that down. I'm going to show how Mercury is a very important sign, why they call it the messenger of the gods. I'm going to get into some pretty cool stuff about the caduceus, the snakes, the kundalini, all this shit, which is fitting because that's big in yogi science. Yogi Science of Breath is one of the books you're going to hear the clips of. I think that's the last one I do, or the second last one. Qigong and Kunji is a different... I want to say it's either... I can't remember if it's Chinese, Japanese, Taoist, Korean. Taoist or something like that. It's from the same side of the world where the Yogi Science of Breath, but Yogi is India, whereas this is more Oriental based, because I don't want to give the wrong information. So I can look it up as I'm talking, but I'm so off topic. The more things I look at, the more I'm just going to keep rambling on, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to take up all the time. I want to stick to my notes. But ADD is getting the best of me. But anyways, I'm going to... And 2 episodes ago, or 1 episode ago, I said I wanted to state the correlation, the connection between Thoth, Mercury, Archangel Raphael, Hermes, all right, to air, to Gemini, to healing, all right, because people think of Mercury, they think of Mercury retrograde, they think of, commerce, communication, which is true, but that all plays into healing. Everything plays into everything. I want to talk about Mercury, magician, the number 8 above his head, his sigil, with the sun, with Saturn. I want to say between the male and female, the genders. I want to talk about all of that today, and I'm going to play these clips because learning how to breathe properly. The last book is Sorcerer's Secrets. That's one of the books I've already offered or told people about. I sent it already to somebody who emailed me. He hits everything in that book from, he hits a bit of financial sorcery. He hits on how to breathe. He hits on how to use your peripheral vision and scrying. He goes through various fucking rituals. So many things in that book. It's really a great guide for so many different rituals and things you should do, and it hits everything all at once. Kabbalah and the work of self transformation is the curriculum to follow. Financial sorcery, Jason Miller is more of a witch, so he's not ceremonial magic. However, the things he does, you can add to your practice. It's one of those books you add to what you do. This is what I do. Anyway, so I recorded a little bit before and after, but he goes through all these different breathing techniques and why they're important a little bit and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm seeing smoke, but I got nothing lit here. So yeah, those are the 3 books. I'm going to play the first clip now. And then I'll go to a song, and I'll probably dive into a little bit of what he says after, but I might just play the clips on, and then, because I got a lot of cool shit to say that I came to me yesterday over and over and over again. I've always known this knowledge to a certain extent, but I never put it together the way I did yesterday. I had 1 beer, and as I was drinking the beer, they say alcohol, spirits, whatever, blah, 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 this is why you shouldn't drink. But it's a polarity thing. It's still like attracts like. If alcohol brings on spirits, okay, if alcohol allows spirits to come into your body and this and that and bring you down, if you are of a high vibration, a positive vibration, if you are in a good mood, if you are intentionally and focusing your energy on, I want a good spirit and I want some help, why do you think when you drink alcohol, or just a little bit of alcohol, you become more loose, you let go of your insecurities and you don't care as much? Why do you think that is? Because you're getting out of your conscious mind. You're fucking off of the conscious mind. You're, just whatever. I don't care anymore. That's my father is like that. He drinks a lot, and you can tell he's that's why he started drinking. They say addiction, I am prone to addiction, I'm addictive personality, blah, 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 blah. But really, I'm just one of those guys who really cared about his appearance and his look and felt like as a child and when around kids, I never wanted to say the wrong thing. When I felt comfortable around somebody, everybody always liked me because I was funny, I was quick, I can come up with things off the top of my head, I was athletic, I'll do anything for anybody, I'll help anybody. But in a big crowd, I wouldn't say much. But then when I added, for the first few times I started drinking, I would be that guy that, whenever I let loose around a few people when I got comfortable, well, with the alcohol, I was able to be that guy times 10 around a big crowd of people. So if before I knew it, the whole fucking school liked me. Everybody wanted to hang out with me and shit like that, which was cool. And that came through drinking alcohol. Had I puked? Yes. Had I gotten in fights? Yes. However, it wasn't in the, yeah, okay, we fought, but most of the time it was because some girl was with some guy and I said something, or she came up to me and, blamed it on me after when she got caught, whatever the case was. That's normally 9 times out of 10 was how my fight started. Or we were at punk shows in mosh pits and shit like that, and, I was a little guy, so guys would come on the floor and want to push me down, but because I was quick, speedy like Mercury, because I was quick and sturdy and athletic, people couldn't really fucking fuck with me the way they wanted, and I'd actually knock big guys on their ass and shit like that in the pit. So people would get fucking pissed off at me and want to smash me, and when you're in a mosh pit, especially in my hometown, I don't know how mosh pits are nowadays, but I don't even know if mosh pits still exist. We used to skank, ska music, and there was fucking not smash dancing. But anyways, I used to go in a pit and used to fucking go around, but we were good. If someone fell, we lift them up. If someone lost a shoe, you held the shoe up in the air. You know what I mean? No one was there to hurt each other, but we were getting the anger out of our body. We were expressing it. We had the music on, and it was punk rock music, sometimes emo, sometimes, metal, death metal, whatever. Anywhere from fucking Newfound Glory to fucking Avenged Sevenfold. Atreyu to fucking, Good Charlotte and shit like that, if you want to put Good Charlotte as a punk band. I like Good Charlotte, but as a kid I wouldn't have admitted that to anybody because they were pop punk and all this and bullshit like that. But anyways, point was, everybody was so against mosh pits and thinking they're dangerous and all this, but you got a bunch of kids that are upset trying to make their way through the world, being told by their teachers and their parents, everybody who's older than them, what to be, what not to be, how to feel, that your dreams probably won't come true. Everybody's angry about, their mom left, their dad left, they don't have parents, whatever, they're gay and they can't express it, or whatever the case was. And they're all on the floor, getting that anger out of their body. And like I said, in my hometown anyways, if someone fell, we helped them up. If someone lost a shoe, we helped them up, We weren't there to hurt people. Now, were there some people that go in the mosh pit and fucking want to hurt people? Of course, there always is. Especially when you add alcohol into the mix. But those guys didn't last long. Because they'd find a target they would want to fight. And like I said, normally I'd be that fucking guy. And if there was only one of them, I'd win the fucking fight. 9 times out of 10. Not always. If there was more than one, well, like I said, I had a lot of people that liked me. So most of that mosh pit was my friends. So as soon as someone wanted to fuck with me, I didn't even have to do much. They were all behind me. Not that I wanted people to fight my battles. And it all depended on how far along I was drinking. But anyways, that's besides the point. That's what I'm going to get into, though, getting the emotions. Because right now, we're going to break down, like I said, Jerry talked about infection, the cell's not working right, not getting the electricity, and all that. He talked about emotion trapped in the body. And I want to dive into that a little bit deeper. And water, emotion, and... and thoughts can get trapped in your body. And there's only a few ways. There's a few ways you can get rid of them. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to see a psychologist. Breathing right can help with everything from your magical abilities, psychic awareness, to healing. It's amazing what you can do with just your breath. So I'm going to go to the first clip. Like I said, this is from Sorcerer's Secrets. And these are just techniques. Now, the other 2 books... the Kaigon, and there's like 3 books in that series, and I totally tell you to read them. He tells you how to breathe right and how people are normally breathing, because if you ever look into this, there's a good chance you might be breathing wrong. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but there's a specific way your stomach's supposed to move whenever you breathe and all that. But anyways, the other 2 books go more in depth on the breathing process, how air affects the body, the biology, and all that. So, and then I only have small clips on here, but the one is an audiobook on there, and the other 2, like I said, you'd have to read on YouTube. Now, if you search them up, you might be able to find an audiobook for free, and you can always email me, and I'll send you the books, and all you have to do is, if you have an Apple anyways, is while you're on the book, you go into, if you're on a computer, you go into your fucking edit, and you go to speech and start speaking, and it'll start speaking for you. If you're on your phone, you have to set it up through like an Apple iPhone anyways. You have to set it up through your settings, and basically you just slide your 2 fingers down and it'll just start reading to you. It's pretty simple. You can do that for everything from your text messages to the Internet Explorer. If you're in the car, read this to me, boom. And I do that for everything because it's a good way to get this information in your head. If you don't have Wi-Fi, if you have a bunch of books on your phone, well, then you can listen to magic all the time, which is probably the reason people download my shit so much. But, anyways, I'm getting off topic again. So, I'm going to go to the first clip. I hope you enjoy. If I don't come back after the first clip and I go right to the next clip, then I'll be back on after that. I got the home to myself right now. I'm actually in the living room doing this episode instead of in my bedroom slash studio. Oh, last thing before I go, I'm probably going to start a Patreon account. Patreon is one of those things like Speaker. To have ad revenue and all that, you had to pay for your package first and all that, which I come to find it's not that hard to, because I've already accomplished making enough money just through the ad revenue to cover the $7 a month. But I just went up a package, which only cost me $10 because I already paid the $7, which would have cost me $17. $15. But anyways, Patreon is one of those things where you can start for free and you only have to start paying once you start making money, kind of thing, kind of like injury lawyer. And I'm not going to put this information on there. I'm still going to have free information on that. However, if I decide to do, like I said in the past, I started the account but haven't done anything yet. Podcast is on there, but I don't want to make podcast on there and have 3 days. Maybe eventually, maybe for specific things. But I don't think so. Like I said, I want to be the voice out there for a guy who needs to know this stuff. Now, that being said, if I'm going to make wands, take my time to make wands and record it and show people all that, then I might put that on there. Making cups, making athames, making swords, making pentacles, making altars. Like I said, I got a bucket and a bag of cement out there, and I got some, it's called forms, but it's basically something made out of wood to hold the concrete. And you need that because you have to pull the wood apart after, so it stays in the form. So I'm going to be using this one thing that's basically just like a square, and I'm going to be pouring the concrete in there to go for my altar. I'm going to make 2 posts. I'm going to paint one black, one white, stuff like that. I'm very crafty. Like I said, stuff doesn't always turn out, on a scale of 10. I'm pretty good. I would say most of my stuff can come out as an 8. I'm very in touch with creativity, and if I have a picture or something, I can draw it exactly like the picture. But I can't just pull pictures out of my head just to draw. I have to actually have something there. If I have an idea, I have to look it up and all that, and then from there I'll find something. So that's the kind of crafty I am. So I might put stuff on like that. That's, I don't know, I haven't decided. That's something I said early on. Like I said, I enjoy doing that, but it takes a lot of time. It takes time away from my family. It takes time out of me. If I add a recorder in there, I got to make sure everything's right. I got to talk at the same time. It will slow me down, which takes more of my time. So if I'm going to put those on, I'm going to want, possibly, and I don't know how Patreon works. I really don't know. This is all in the beginning phases of stuff. So it's just to add to the do-it-yourself, because I got the magic on the budget here, and I can tell you how to do all this stuff, and I will tell you how to do this stuff for free. But if you need to see it, then it's probably going to be on Patreon. Now, I haven't done it yet, so go search it up. But I may do that. But anyways, let's go to Jason Miller and the Sorcerer's Secrets. All right. Well, I'll see you in a bit.
Cuts the umbilical cord before the lungs have had a chance to clear the fluid that has built up in utero. The breath is my opinion that a sorcerer who cannot control his breath is no sorcerer at all. There is a reason that in many cultures the word for spirit or energy is also the word for breath. In Hebrew the word is ruach, in Tibetan it's lung, in Sanskrit it's prana, in Greek it is pneuma, in Arabic it is ruh. Even the word spirit or spiritus means breath in Latin. This light is so important that it is treated in some Eastern traditions as a mantra in and of itself. Yet, we pay surprisingly little attention to it. From the beginning, breath is neglected. Right at the moment of birth, the doctor usually cuts the umbilical cord before the lungs have had a chance to clear the fluid that has built up in utero. Our first breaths in this life are breaths of panic and fear, a trauma that some say we never quite recover from, and remain afraid of taking a full and complete breath out of fear. Under normal circumstances, people only use about 1/7 of their lung capacity, taking in only 1 pint of air, approximately 15 times per minute. When we are excited or frightened, we breathe even faster and shorter, which only heightens our state of fear. This response does, of course, have an evolutionary role in keeping us safe from danger, but in our modern world, this reflex kicks in under all kinds of stress that does not involve actual danger, and in which a cooler head would be of more benefit. The breath is an autonomic function. It happens automatically like your heartbeat and digestive function. Of all the autonomic systems, the breath is the easiest to take voluntary control of and is thus an excellent way to bridge the gap between the conscious and subconscious mind. The breath usually follows whatever state your mind happens to be in, but it's easy to reverse the process and make the mind follow the breath instead. Just breathe deeply. The vase breath, the first breath that we need to cover, is called the vase breath because you are filling the lungs like you would fill a vase with water, from the bottom up. As I mentioned previously, the lungs will hold about 7 pints of air, yet we generally draw in 1 pint at a time. We also tend to favor the upper 32 subtle keys chambers of the lungs, out our chests and holding in our stomachs. Although this may be a more physically attractive way of breathing, it's not very efficient. To perform the vase breath, you must make sure that your back is reasonably straight and vertical. Seated, but do not lunge first. Allow the belly to distend as you do this. Allow the upper chambers of the lungs to fill almost all the way. Without closing off your airway, hold the breath for a moment and then exhale, releasing the upper chambers of the lungs first, and then the lower. You should aim to take in about 6 pints of air. If you do this correctly, your breath rate should slow from about 15 times per minute to about 8 times per minute. When the vase breath is used, the blood and brain gets a better flow of oxygen, which has many benefits. One of the primary benefits is that the pituitary gland begins to function optimally. This gland not only controls all the other glands in the body, but is also the physical manifestation of the third eye and the seat of mystical vision. If you are sensitive to the energies of the body, then you will also note the increased flow of vital force in the body, as well as an improved ability to direct these energies using only the breath and the will. 9 breaths purification. After you have managed to perform the vase breath, you should learn to cleanse the vital channels through the 9 breaths of purification. To do this, draw in a deep vase breath, and as you do so, consider that the air coming in is pure and cleansing. As you inhale, draw your right arm up at your side so that it is held straight out. This will open up the right channel that handles solar and masculine forces. With the arm still held out at the side, bend your elbow so that your hand is in front of your face, and block your right nostril with your finger. Exhale forcefully through your left nostril, visualizing all impure energies and tendencies leaving the body through the left side. Do the exact 33 asterisk, the sorcerer's secrets asterisk, same thing again, but using the left arm and blocking the left nostril this time, exhaling through the right nostril. Repeat the process twice more for each side, making 6 breaths in total. For the last 3 breaths, simply breathe in and out through both nostrils, cleaning out the central channel. You should again visualize pure air being inhaled and impure air being exhaled. As you exhale, lean forward as far as possible to force the last bit of air out of the channel. The bellows breath, the following exercise, is a quick way to increase energy in just a few seconds. I can use it instead of coffee in the morning if I have to. I have used it a lot at 3 a.m. when writing chapters of this very book. The technique is simple. Take a full deep inhalation, then exhale rapid, short, sharp, forced bursts. You should be able to exhale about 30 short breaths in 10 seconds. After about 3 breaths like this, switch back to the vase breath. As you inhale, focus on drawing the breath deep down toward the genitals. As you exhale, move your focus up the spine to the top of the head. The vital force will follow your mind. After a few vase-style breaths in this manner, you can go back to the short, sharp, rapid exhales. The rush that this breath technique provides is very tangible and acts as a sort of reboot for the brain. Some people have even used it to fend off cravings for cigarettes and coffee. The breath of fire. This breath should only be attempted by people who have mastered all the previously mentioned breaths. It should only be performed while seated. The inhalation is performed the same way as the vase breath, but now you are going to retain the breath, condense the energy, and hold it. To do this, focus your mind on the fire seat just underneath your navel. See the Pillar and Elements practice in Chapter 4. As you inhale, the vital energy from the breath will follow the mind to the fire seed, which will grow stronger with each 34 subtle keys breath. After the inhalation, swallow a little saliva and hold your throat closed so that you are forcing the upper winds of the body downward. Simultaneously clench your buttocks and lift upward so that the lower winds are forced upward. All this force converges on the fire center, which, in turn, fills the whole body with pure elemental fire. If you persist in the practice, you will eventually feel a blissful sensation descend from the crown center, the idea being that the fire melts the frozen sea of wisdom. This is actually a toned-down version of the Tibetan Tummo exercise, which has been observed to be able to raise the body temperature up to 117 degrees in laboratory conditions. One without proper training and oversight The full teaching of Tummo can be quite dangerous, but the exercise is safe for anyone who has increased their capacity through the base breath and cleansed their channels through the purifying breath. Pour breathing is a technique whereby you can accumulate certain energies in the body from the world around you. To perform this breath, you should imagine that your body is an empty balloon. Perform the base breath, but as you do, imagine that you are breathing through your skin, which is the surface of the balloon. Your whole body is a lung, inhaling and exhaling. Franz Barton recommends scrubbing yourself in the morning with a stiff brush to open the pores. With continued practice, you will actually gain the physical sensation of your skin, breathing and energy passing through it. This is how you know that your visualization and physical breathing on level 1 has triggered the astral response on level 2. If you focus your mind on particular qualities, you can draw on very specific energies such as elemental or planetary forces. The Bardenian magician Ron Clark recommends sitting in front of a beautiful work of art and breathing in beauty itself, a wonderful practice. Throughout the book we will be requesting that you breathe in elemental, planetary, and other types of environmental energies. You can also breathe qualities out of yourself as well. For instance, if you are feeling sluggish, you can focus on the earth element, 35 asterisk, the sorcerer's secrets asterisk inside you and breathe it out, while breathing in the fire element. If you are feeling flighty, you can exhale air and breathe in earth. When focusing on these sources of power, I recommend focusing on the actual qualities and feel of them rather than specific symbol sets associated with various systems of correspondence. In other words, when working with the elements, you would not focus on specific colors and directions, but on how these elements feel. The following table is a traditional example.
Bacon and eggs, or
Fire, hot, dry, expansive, water, cool, wet, fluid, AIR, hot, wet, dense, and heavy. The loaded breath. So far we have covered breathing, mostly as it affects your own body and mind. The loaded breath takes these breath techniques into the sorcery properly and releases the power that has been built up and targets it at a person, object, or space. It is called the loaded breath because the breath is pregnant with whatever energy you are breathing out and patterned by your will. In the process of seducing someone, for instance, you can accumulate fire energy during the course of conversation by gently breathing the fire element, patterning that energy with your desire for the target, then breathing that power directly onto the target as you talk. Just be wary of halitosis or you could counteract the whole operation. Another example is to breathe the element in reverse. It in your body and then breathe it out into a room, reloading it with that particular element. When I lived in Philadelphia, my roommate and I breathed one element into each room. By the end of the night, people in the earth room were sitting like lumps on the couch watching television. People in the air room, 36 asterisk, subtle keys asterisk, conversing intensely about politics. People in the water room were having heart-to-hearts, and fire room were making good use of the mattress. In short, they were acting out qualities related to each element. The loaded breath is also an excellent way to bless or consecrate items, talismans for the short term. The power that you wish to bestow and breathe it upon the item. A good way to cleanse an item as well. You can breath all four elements into it, burning the impurity with fire, blowing out the fire with air, washing away the remnants with water, and finally re-infusing the item with the element earth. You can of course use any of the above breaths in the context larger rituals as well. For instance, you can breathe the proper element when doing a Golden Dawn-style pentagram ritual, or use the fire breath as a preliminary to the whole rite. Through training the energies of the body to flow with the breath, you will gain better control over the powers that flow through the body and extend outward into the pentagrams. The ways in which you can use the breath are endless. I could write an entire book on it, and perhaps one day I will, but this is enough to get you started. We must now move on from the subtlety of the breath to the magic of gazing. Gaze of a sorcerer is a powerful thing.
Seem to stop my breath, my head on your chest, waiting to cave in. From the bottom of my hear your voice again. Could we dim the and tell me when it's time to. Sweetheart is bleeding in the snow cone. So smart, she's leading me to ozone. Music, the great communicator. Used to sticks to make it in the nature. I'll get you into penetration. The gender of a generation. The birth of every other nation. Look your way to go to meditation. This chapter's gonna be a close one. Smoke rings, I know you're gonna blow one. All on a spaceship persevering. Use my hands for everything but steering. Can't stop the spirits when they need you. Mob tops are happy when they feed you. J-butterflies in the treetop. Birds that blow the meaning in the bebop. The world I love, the tears I drop. To be part of the wave can't stop. Ever wonder if it's all for you? The world I love, the trains I hop. To be part of the wave can't stop. Come and tell me when it's time to.
All right, I'm back. But I'm going to go right to the next thing there very shortly. But yeah, I just wanted to state that that part alone in that book pumps me up when I hear that, because that's just breath. You know what I mean? Something we take for granted, breath. Something that we do when we think about it, but for the most part is done for us through our subconscious mind. You know what I mean? That's like the entry level. Breathe, 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 breathe. Then people get into magic and they move on to the candles and all that. But with just your breath, you can manifest things. He got into a little bit of that. And I said incense and smoke and stuff upstairs. That was the last episode of All the Ways. And this is something I haven't hit on because I forgot about how I didn't even clue in, you know. That's why we write down things. That's why we do notes. Because you can think you were going to remember everything you ever did. And you will, but you may not remember it when you need to. It'll prompt whenever, you know, something happens. Everything happens for a reason. So, you know, that's a good way to look at it. And you can just, but writing it down helps. Because then you can go back to it and actually look at it. And it's an extra way for you to find it. Because yes, if it's in your memory, when you need that information, you know, your memory is probably going to hook you up. But that's only one way. So if you write it down, then there's two ways the subconscious can get you to figure that out again. Not only is it just going to prompt you, it'll just lead you to find that thing. Or your kid says, hey, Daddy, here's your fucking book. And you'll open it up and it'll be right on that page or something. But anyways, Mercury, magician, messenger of God, breath, air, lungs, ruled by Gemini, ruled by Mercury. To get into trance, meditation, magic, you know, to do magic, you're supposed to be in trance, to meditate, to connect your minds. What do? Well, you focus on your breath. You do a rhythmic breathing. I mean, it's there. Everybody, I mean, I don't need to point this stuff out, but I just like pointing it out. You know what I mean? That's why breath is so important. And he hit on something huge at the beginning, the breath for the third eye. You know, you're putting in, when you do this kind of breathing, it's like the prana, giving the energy, it helps the pituitary gland. It increases its that energy and it kind of activates it basically. And that's why you do it before you want to get into magic meditation. Because what are you doing? Well, you need to visualize. How do you see those spirits? You need the third eye. That's the eye, all-seeing eye on the fucking dollar bill that everybody thinks is Illuminati. Is not. That represents your eye. That thing on that bill is basically saying we are using all your guys' third eye to fucking get what we want. Because everybody has these powers and everybody can get what they want. But if you want something so big, well, yeah, you need to use everybody's power. Because if everybody has this power, then if you want something and somebody else wants something, well, the person with the more power is going to win, right? So anyways, but that's basically what that's saying. It's that we're using your third eye against you, you know. And that's one way to look at it. It's not the way I look at it. I look at it as they're basically telling you, visualize what you want and it'll fucking manifest. What you focus on, you bring about. They put it on the money. So you can focus, if you want money, focus on money and you'll get more money. But anyways, but yeah, the breathing element to influence people, objects is like, you know, it's the same as using a candle or same as, you know, putting water in a cup and using water magic, you know, or using the element of earth to manifest things. It's another way of doing it. And it's pretty fucking sick how he said that, how you can breathe in the different elements, you know. When they did that in every room, the fire element, people were fucking, you know, that song, the first song I played by the Used there, I Caught Fire, I never really understood that song until just now. I put that on there by accident. I didn't even plan that. I was looking for songs to put on because my wife, when she paid for the next iTunes, because we had to pay for iTunes there again, monthly or whatever. And so all my songs on here aren't downloaded yet before this episode, so I have to keep playing the same old songs. But anyway, so I haven't played that song, I don't think, on here yet. So I put it on. And then as I'm listening to it before I put the song on, it's like he's fucking, you know what I mean? I caught fire. He's talking about, you know, when he fucking fell in lust, maybe. Maybe he's talking about love. Love is more a Venus thing, whereas fire is more of a passion. But, you know, people think they're the same, whatever. But yeah, like the first time I caught fire, and he's talking about learning how to love and all that. You know, I thought maybe he was literally talking about catching on fire. Well, no, that's not what I thought. I knew it was a metaphor for something, but anyways, I just think that's fucking a funny little synchronicity that just happened. I swear to God, I didn't plan it. I do try to use songs that I think have hidden in occult meanings, but I can't always do that. And, you know, that one I always interpreted with him having sex and stuff like that, which I was kind of right. But anyways, but yeah, we take the breath for granted. And by hearing something like this and knowing that your breath, breathing, is this powerful, you know what I mean? It's the same reason that in Kabbalah, the great work of self-transformation, they tell you to stare at a point. Because you can literally get stuck in your head and be like, oh, there's nothing to do with this and that, and woe is me, I'm so low. But if you actually stop and look at that point on the wall, it's going to tell you so much crap. This is a good example of that. Something like your breath that everybody takes for granted can heal you, can help your magic, it can manifest things for you. Your breath, it's an element like anything else. It's air. We are the elements. We are air. We are fire. We are water. We are earth. We are spirit. We are all of it. And you want to get in touch with this stuff. Now, like I said, using that book, you have to start with the earth element, but you need to know how to breathe. I mean, this stuff you need to know. You need to know how to do this stuff. And, you know, when you eventually get to the air element, well, you're going to have a lot of good fucking, a good base, a good knowledge, you know. This stuff applies to everything. But anyways, I'm going to get to the next one. Now, the next one I want to say is The Science of Air. And this one is a great, great read. Now, I recorded a lot of it, but I don't think I'm going to play it all. I'm just going to basically hit on some of the basics. And this is the one that's on, if you use the link. Now, I don't think you can actually hit the links because I didn't fucking do it right. But if you type that link in, it'll take you to that YouTube page where he is playing it. Fuck, I'm using the fucking headphones and my fucking headphone wasn't even plugged in. Oh, sorry about that. But anyways, if you, yeah, it's going to be the audio book of it. And it's about 2 hours long, but it's huge. It gets, in the end, it talks about how to program water and shit with your breath and all that as well, which is like an hour and 45 minutes into it by then, which I thought was fitting. But I didn't play that part on here. But anyways, I'm going to go to that, so I'll be right back. Like I said, I'll probably only do about 20-25 minutes of this. So if you're not listening to this live, which most people don't, I think it's only happened like twice, if you want to skip it, it's probably going to be about 25 minutes. It could be longer, but it's going to probably be about 25 minutes. Last one was 10, 11, or 14 maybe. This is going to be 25. Last one will probably be about 15 or something like that. But anyways, here we go. Science, the yogi, or in the East, I forget how it's worded. I think it's the Hindi yogi science of breath. And it's a great fucking read. But here's a clip of it.
The habits of civilized man. The percentage of civilized men who breathe correctly is quite small, and the result is sodium contracted chest and sticky shoulders. In the terrible increase of diseases of the respiratory organs, including the dread muscle, consumption, white scourge. Eminent authorities have stated that one generation of correct breathers will regenerate the race. A disease would be so rare as to be looked upon as a curiosity. Whether looked at from the standpoint of the Oriental or Occidental, the connection between correct breathing and health is readily seen and explained. The Occidental teaching showed that the physical health depends very materially upon correct breathing. The Oriental teachers not only admit that their Occidental health is right, but say that in addition to physical benefit derived from the correct habits of breathing, man's mental power, happiness, self-control, clear-sightedness, morals, and even his spiritual growth may be increased by an understanding of the science of breath. Whole schools of Oriental philosophy have been founded upon this science, and this knowledge, when grasped by the Western races and by them put to the practical use which is their strong point, will work wonders among them. The theory of the East, wedded to the practice of the West, will produce worthy offspring. This work will take up the yogi science of breath, which includes not only all that is known to the Western physiologist and hygienist, but the occult side of the subject as well. It not only points out the way to physical health along the lines of what Western scientists have termed deep breathing, etc., but also goes into the less known phases of the subject and shows how the Hindu yogi controls his body, increasing his mental capacity, and develops the spiritual side of his nature by the science of breath. The yogi practices exercises by which he attains control of his body and is enabled to send to any organ or part an increased flow of vital force, or prana, thereby strengthening and invigorating the part or organ. He knows all that his Western scientific brother knows about the physiological effect of correct breathing, but he also knows that the air contains more than oxygen and hydrogen and nitrogen, and that something more is accomplished than the mere oxygenating of the blood. He knows something about prana, of which his Western brother is ignorant, and he is fully aware of the nature and manner of handling that great principle of energy, and is fully informed as to its effect upon the human body and mind. He knows that by rhythmical breathing, one may bring himself into harmonious vibration with nature, and aid in the unfoldment of his latent powers. He knows that by controlled breathing, he may not only cure disease in himself and others, but also practically do away with fear and worry and the baser emotions. To teach these things is the object of this work. We will give in a few chapters concise explanations and instructions, which might be extended into volume. We hope to awaken the minds of the Western world to the value of the yogi science of breath. End of chapter 2.
Chapter 3 of the Hindu Yogi Science of Breath by William Walker Atkinson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The exoteric theory of breath. In this chapter, we will give you briefly the theories of the Western scientific world regarding the functions of the respiratory organs and the part in the human economy played by the breath. In the subsequent chapters, we will give the additional theories and ascertained facts of the Oriental school of thought and research. The Oriental accepts the theories and facts of his Western brothers, which have been known to him for centuries, and adds thereto much that the latter do not now accept, but which they will in due time discover, and which after renaming they will present to the world as a great truth. Before taking up the Western idea, it will perhaps be better to give a hasty general idea of the organs of respiration. The organs of respiration consist of the lungs and the air passages leading to them. The lungs are 2 in number, and occupy the pleural chamber of the thorax, one on each side of the median line, being separated from each other by the heart, the greater blood vessels, and the larger air tubes. Each lung is free in all directions, except at the root, which consists chiefly of the bronchi, arteries, and veins connecting the lungs with the trachea and the heart. The lungs are spongy and porous, and their tissues are very elastic. They are covered with a delicately constructed but strong sac, known as the pleural sac, one wall of which closely adheres to the lung and the other to the inner wall of the chest, and which secretes a fluid which allows the inner surfaces of the walls to glide easily upon each other in the act of breathing. The air passages consist of the interior of the nose, pharynx, larynx, windpipe or trachea, and the bronchial tubes. When we breathe, we draw in the air through the nose, in which it is warmed by contact with the mucous membrane, which is richly supplied with blood, and after it has passed through the pharynx and larynx, it passes into the trachea or windpipe, which subdivides into numerous tubes called the bronchial tubes, bronchi, which in turn subdivide into and terminate in minute subdivisions in all the small air spaces in the lungs, of which the lungs contain millions. A writer has stated that if the air cells of the lungs were spread out over an unbroken surface, they would cover an area of 14,000 square feet. The air is drawn into the lungs by the action of the diaphragm, a great, strong, flat, sheet-like muscle, stretched across the chest, separating the chest box from the abdomen. The diaphragm's action is almost as automatic as that of the heart, although it may be transformed into a semi-voluntary muscle by an effort of the will. When it expands, it increases the size of the chest and lungs, and the air rushes into the vacuum thus created. When it relaxes, the chest and lungs contract, and the air is expelled from the lungs. Now, before considering what happens to the air in the lungs, let us look a little into the matter of the circulation of the blood. The blood, as you know, is driven by the heart, through the arteries, and to the capillaries, thus reaching every part of the body, which it vitalizes, nourishes, and strengthens. It then returns by means of the capillaries by another route, the veins, to the heart, from whence it is drawn to the lungs. The blood starts on its arterial journey bright red and rich, laden with life-giving qualities and properties. It returns by the venous route, poor, blue, and dull, being laden down with the waste matter of the system. It goes out like a fresh stream from the mountains. It returns as a stream of sewer water. This foul stream goes to the right auricle of the heart. When this auricle becomes filled, it contracts and forces the stream of blood through an opening in the right ventricle of the heart, which in turn sends it on to the lungs, where it is distributed by millions of hair-like blood vessels to the air cells of the lungs, of which we have spoken. Now let us take up the story of the lungs at this point. The foul stream of blood is now distributed among the millions of tiny air cells in the lungs. A breath of air is inhaled, and the oxygen of the air comes in contact with the impure blood through the thin walls of the hair-like blood vessels of the lungs, which walls are thick enough to hold the blood, but thin enough to admit the oxygen to penetrate them. When the oxygen comes in contact with the blood, a form of combustion takes place, and the blood takes up oxygen and releases carbonic acid gas generated from the waste products and poisonous matter which has been gathered up by the blood from all parts of the system. The blood, thus purified and oxygenated, is carried back to the heart, again rich, red, and bright, and laden with life-giving properties and qualities. Upon reaching the left auricle of the heart, it is forced into the left ventricle, from whence it is again forced out through the arteries on its mission of life to all parts of the system. It is estimated that in a single day of 24 hours, 35,000 pints of blood traverse the capillaries of the lungs. The blood corpuscles passing in single file and being exposed to the oxygen of the air on both of their surfaces. When one considers the minute details of the process alluded to, he is lost in wonder and admiration at nature's infinite care and intelligence. It will be seen that unless fresh air in sufficient quantities reaches the lungs, the foul stream of venous blood cannot be purified, and consequently not only is the body thus robbed of nourishment, but the waste products, which should have been destroyed, are returned to the circulation and poison the system, and death ensues. Impure air acts in the same way, only in a lessened degree. It will also be seen that if one does not breathe in a sufficient quantity of air, the work of the blood cannot go on properly, and the result is that the body is insufficiently nourished and disease ensues, or a state of imperfect health is experienced. The blood of one who breathes improperly is, of course, of a bluish dark color, lacking the rich redness of pure arterial blood. This often shows itself in a poor complexion. Proper breathing and a consequent good circulation results in a clear, bright complexion. A little reflection will show the vital importance of correct breathing. If the blood is not fully purified by the regenerative process of the lungs, it returns to the arteries in an abnormal state, insufficiently purified and imperfectly cleansed of the impurities which it took up on its return journey. These impurities, if returned to the system, will certainly manifest in some form of disease, either in a form of blood disease or some disease resulting from impaired functioning of some insufficiently nourished organ or tissue. The blood, when properly exposed to the air in the lungs, not only has its impurities consumed and parts with its noxious carbonic acid gas, but it also takes up and absorbs a certain quantity of oxygen which it carries to all parts of the body, where it is needed in order that nature may perform her processes properly. When the oxygen comes in contact with the blood, it unites with the hemoglobin of the blood and is carried to every cell, tissue, muscle, and organ, which it invigorates and strengthens, replacing the worn-out cells and tissue by new materials which nature converts to her use. Arterial blood, properly exposed to the air, contains about 25% of free oxygen. Not only is every part vitalized by the oxygen, but the act of digestion depends materially upon a certain amount of oxygenation of the food. And this can be accomplished only by the oxygen in the blood coming in contact with the food and producing a certain form of combustion. It is therefore necessary that a proper supply of oxygen be taken through the lungs. This accounts for the fact that weak lungs and poor digestion are so often found together. To grasp the full significance of this statement, one must remember that the entire body receives nourishment from the food assimilated, and that imperfect assimilation always means an imperfectly nourished body. Even the lungs themselves depend upon the same source for nourishment, and if through imperfect breathing the assimilation becomes imperfect, the lungs in turn become weak, they are rendered still less able to perform their work properly, and so in turn the body is further weakened. Every part of food and drink must be oxygenated before it can yield us the proper nourishment, and before the waste products of the system can be reduced to the proper condition to be eliminated from the system. Lack of sufficient oxygen means imperfect nutrition, imperfect elimination, and imperfect health. Verily, breath is life. The combustion arising from the change in the waste products generates heat and equalizes the temperature of the body. Good breathers are not apt to take cold, and they generally have plenty of good warm blood, which enables them to resist the changes in the outer temperature. In addition to the above-mentioned important processes, the act of breathing gives exercise to the internal organs and muscles, which feature is generally overlooked by the Western writers on the subject, but which the yogis fully appreciate. In imperfect or shallow breathing, only a portion of the lung cells are brought into play, and a great portion of the lung capacity is lost, the system suffering in proportion to the amount of under-oxygenation. The lower animals in their native state breathe naturally, and primitive man undoubtedly did the same. The abnormal manner of living adopted by civilized man, the shadow that follows upon civilization, has robbed us of our natural habit of breathing, and the race has greatly suffered thereby. Man's only physical salvation is to get back to nature. End of chapter 3. Chapter 4 of the Hindu Yogi Science of Breath by William Walker Atkinson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Esoteric Theory of Breath. The science of breath, like many other teachings, has its esoteric or inner phase, as well as its exoteric or external. The physiological phase may be termed the outer or exoteric side of the subject, and the phase which we will now consider may be termed its esoteric or inner side. Occultists in all ages and lands have always taught, usually secretly to a few followers, that there was to be found in the air a substance or principle from which all activity, vitality, and life was derived. They differed in their terms and names for this force, as well as in the details of the theory, but the main principle is to be found in all occult teachings and philosophies, and has for centuries formed a portion of the teachings of the Oriental yogis. In order to avoid misconceptions arising from the various theories regarding this great principle, which theories are usually attached to some name given the principle, we, in this work, will speak of the principle as prana, this word being the Sanskrit term meaning absolute energy. Many occult authorities teach that the principle which the Hindus term prana is the universal principle of energy or force, and that all energy or force is derived from that principle, or rather, is a particular form of manifestation of that principle. These theories do not concern us in the consideration of the subject matter of this work, and we will therefore confine ourselves to an understanding of prana as the principle of energy exhibited in all living things, which distinguishes them from a lifeless thing. We may consider it as the active principle of life, vital force, if you please. It is found in all forms of life, from the amoeba to man, from the most elementary form of plant life to the highest form of animal life. Prana is all-pervading. It is found in all things having life, and as the occult philosophy teaches that life is in all things, in every atom, the apparent lifelessness of some things being only a lesser degree of manifestation, we may understand their teachings that prana is everywhere, in everything. Prana must not be confounded with the ego, that bit of divine spirit in every soul, around which clusters matter and energy. Prana is merely a form of energy used by the ego in its material manifestation. When the ego leaves the body, the prana, being no longer under its control, responds only to the orders of the individual atoms, or groups of atoms, forming the body, and as the body disintegrates and is resolved to its original elements, each atom takes with it sufficient prana to enable it to form new combinations, the unused prana returning to the great universal storehouse from which it came. With the ego in control, cohesion exists and the atoms are held together by the will of the ego. Prana is the name by which we designate a universal principle, which principle is the essence of all motion, force, or energy, whether manifested in gravitation, electricity, the revolution of the planets, and all forms of life from the highest to the lowest. It may be called the soul of force and energy in all their forms, and that principle which, operating in a certain way, causes that form of activity which accompanies life. This great principle is in all forms of matter, and yet it is not matter. It is in the air, but it is not the air nor one of its chemical constituents. Animal and plant life breathe it in the air, and yet if the air contained it not, they would die even though they might be filled with air. It is taken up by the system along with the oxygen, and yet it is not the oxygen. The Hebrew writer of the book of Genesis knew the difference between the atmospheric air and the mysterious and potent principle contained within it. He speaks of Neshemet, Rock Shaheen, which translated means the breath of the spirit of life. In the Hebrew, Neshemet means the ordinary breath of atmospheric air, and Shaheen means life or lives, while the word Ruach means the spirit of life, which occultists claim is the same principle which we speak of as prana. Prana is in the atmospheric air, but it is also elsewhere, and it penetrates where the air cannot reach. The oxygen in the air plays an important part in sustaining animal life, and the carbon plays a similar part with plant life. But prana has its own distinct part to play in the manifestation of life, aside from the physiological functions. We are constantly inhaling the air charged with prana, and are as constantly extracting the latter from the air and appropriating it to our uses. Prana is found in its freest state in the atmospheric air, which when fresh is fairly charged with it, and we draw it to us more easily from the air than from any other source. In ordinary breathing, we absorb and extract a normal supply of prana, but by controlled and regulated breathing, generally known as yogi breathing, we are enabled to extract a greater supply, which is stored away in the brain and nerve centers to be used when necessary. We may store away prana, just as a storage battery stores away electricity. The many powers attributed to advanced occultists is due largely to their knowledge of this fact and their intelligent use of this stored-up energy. The yogis know that by certain forms of breathing, they establish certain relations with the supply of prana and may draw on the same for what they require. Not only do they strengthen all parts of their body in this way, but the brain itself may receive increased energy from the same source, and latent faculties be developed and psychic powers attained. One who has mastered the science of storing away prana, either consciously or unconsciously, often radiates vitality and strength which is felt by those coming in contact with him. And such a person may impart the strength to others, and give them increased vitality and health. What is called magnetic healing is performed in this way, although many practitioners are not aware of the source of their power. Western scientists have been dimly aware of this great principle with which the air is charged, but finding that they could find no chemical trace of it or make it register in any of their instruments, they have generally treated the Oriental theory with disdain. They could not explain this principle and so denied it. They seem, however, to recognize that the air in certain places possesses a greater amount of something, and sick people are directed by their physicians to seek such places in hopes of regaining lost health. The oxygen in the air is appropriated by the blood and is made use of by the circulatory system. The prana in the air is appropriated by the nervous system and is used in its work. And as the oxygenated blood is carried to all parts of the system, building up and replenishing, so is the prana carried to all parts of the nervous system. adding strength and vitality. If we think of prana as being the active principle of what we call vitality, we will be able to form a much clearer idea of what an important part it plays in our lives. Just as is the oxygen in the blood used by the wants of the system, so the supply of prana taken up by the nervous system is exhausted by our thinking, willing, acting, etc. And in consequence, constant replenishing is necessary. Every thought, every act, every effort of the will, every motion of a muscle uses up a certain amount of what we call nerve force, which is really a form of prana. To move a muscle, the brain sends out an impulse over the nerves, and the muscle contracts, and so much prana is expended. When it is remembered that the greater portion of prana acquired by man comes to him from the air inhaled, the importance of proper breathing is readily understood. End of chapter 4. Chapter 5 of the Hindu Yogi Science of Breath by William Walker Atkinson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The nervous system. It will be noticed that the Western scientific theories regarding the breath confine themselves to the effects of the absorption of oxygen and its use through the circulatory system, while the yogi theory also takes into consideration the absorption of prana and its manifestation through the channels of the nervous system. The nervous system of man is divided into two great systems, namely the cerebrospinal system and the sympathetic system. The cerebrospinal system consists of all that part of the nervous system contained within the cranial cavity and the spinal canal, namely the brain and the spinal cord, together with the nerves which branch off from the same. This system presides over the functions of animal life known as volition, sensation, etc. The sympathetic system includes all that part of the nervous system located principally in the thoracic, abdominal, and pelvic cavities, and which is distributed to the internal organs. It has control over the involuntary processes, such as growth, nutrition, etc. The cerebrospinal system attends to all the seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, feeling, etc. It sets things in motion. It is used by the ego to think, to manifest consciousness. It is the instrument with which the ego communicates with the outside world. This system may be likened to a telephone system, with the brain as the central office, and the spinal column and nerves as cable and wires respectively. The brain is a great mass of nerve tissue and consists of three parts, namely the cerebrum, or brain proper, which occupies the upper, front, middle, and back portion of the skull, the cerebellum, or little brain, which fills the lower and back portion of the skull, and the medulla oblongata, which is the broadened commencement of the spinal cord, lying before and in front of the cerebellum. The cerebrum is the organ of that part of the mind which manifests itself in intellectual action. The cerebellum regulates the movements of the voluntary muscles. The medulla oblongata is the upper and large end of the spinal cord, and from it and the cerebrum branch forth the cranial nerves, which reach to various parts of the head, to the organs of special sense, and to some of the thoracic and abdominal organs, and to the organs of respiration. The spinal cord, or spinal marrow, fills the spinal canal in the vertebral column, or backbone. It is a long mass of nerve tissue, branching off at the several vertebrae to nerves communicating with all parts of the body. The spinal cord is like a large telephone cable, and the emerging nerves are like the private wires connecting therewith. The sympathetic nervous system consists of a double chain of ganglia on the side of the spinal column, and scattered ganglia in the head, neck, chest, and abdomen. A ganglion is a mass of nervous matter, including nerve cells. These ganglia are connected with each other by filaments, and are also connected with the cerebrospinal system by motor and sensory nerves. From these ganglia, numerous fibers branch out to the organs of the body, blood vessels, etc. At various points, nerves meet together and form what are known as plexuses. The sympathetic system practically controls the involuntary processes, such as circulation, respiration, and digestion. The power or force transmitted from the brain to all parts of the body by means of the nerves is known to Western science as nerve force, although the yogi knows it to be a manifestation of prana. In character and rapidity, it resembles the electric current. It will be seen that without this nerve force, the heart cannot beat, the blood cannot circulate, the lungs cannot breathe, the various organs cannot function. In fact, the machinery of the body comes to a stop without it. Nay more, even the brain cannot think without prana be present. When these facts are considered, the importance of the absorption of prana must be evident to all, and the science of breath assumes an importance even greater than that accorded it by Western science. The yogi teachings go further than does Western science, in one important feature of the nervous system. We allude to what Western science terms the solar plexus, in which it considers as merely one of a series of certain matted nets of sympathetic nerves, with their ganglia found in various parts of the body. Yogi science teaches that this solar plexus is really a most important part of the nervous system, and that it is a form of the brain, playing one of the principal parts of the human economy. Western science seems to be moving gradually towards a recognition of this fact, which has been known to the yogis of the East for centuries. And some recent Western writers have termed the solar plexus the abdominal brain. The solar plexus is situated in the epigastric region, just back of the pit of the stomach, on either side of the spinal column. It is composed of white and gray brain matter, similar to that composing the other brains of man. It has control of the main internal organs of man, and plays a much more important part than is generally recognized. We will not go into the yogi theory regarding the solar plexus, further than to say that they know it as the great central storehouse of prana. Men have been known to be instantly killed by a severe blow over the solar plexus, and prize fighters recognize its vulnerability and frequently temporarily paralyze their opponents by a blow over this region. The name solar is well bestowed on this brain, as it radiates strength and energy to all parts of the body, even the upper brains depending largely upon it as a storehouse of prana. Sooner or later, Western science will fully recognize the real function of the solar plexus and will accord to it a far more important place than it now occupies in their textbooks and teachings. End of Chapter 5. Chapter 6 of the Hindu Yogi Science of Breath by William Walker Atkinson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Nostril breathing versus mouth breathing. One of the first lessons in the Yogi Science of Breath is to learn how to breathe through the nostrils, and to overcome the common practice of mouth breathing. The breathing mechanism of man is so constructed that he may breathe either through the mouth or nasal tubes. But it is a matter of vital importance to him which method he follows, as one brings health and strength, and the other disease and weakness. It should not be necessary to state to the student that the proper method of breathing is to take the breath through the nostrils. But alas, the ignorance among civilized people regarding the simple matter is astounding. We find people in all walks of life habitually breathing through their mouths, and allowing their children to follow their horrible and disgusting example. Many of the diseases to which civilized man is subject are undoubtedly caused by this common habit of mouth breathing. Children permitted to breathe in this way grow up with impaired vitality and weakened constitutions, and in manhood and womanhood break down and become chronic invalids. The mother of the savage race does better, being evidently guided by her intuition. She seems to instinctively recognize that the nostrils are the proper channels for the conveyal of air to the lungs, and she trains her infant to close its little lips and breathe through the nose. She tips its head forward when it is asleep, which attitude closes the lips and makes nostril breathing imperative. If our civilized mothers were to adopt the same plan, it would work a great good for the race. Many contagious diseases are contracted by the disgusting habit of mouth breathing, and many cases of cold and catarrhal affections are also attributable to the same cause. Many persons who, for the sake of appearances, keep their mouth closed during the day, persist in mouth breathing at night, and often contract disease in this way. Carefully conducted scientific experiments have shown that soldiers and sailors who sleep with their mouths open are much more liable to contract contagious diseases than those who breathe properly through the nostrils. An instance is related in which smallpox became epidemic on a man of war in foreign parts, and every death which resulted was that of some sailor or marine who was a mouth breather. Not a single nostril breather succumbed. The organs of respiration have their only protective apparatus, filter, or dust catcher, in the nostrils. When the breath is taken through the mouth, there is nothing from mouth to lungs to strain the air, or to catch the dust and other foreign matter in the air. From mouth to lungs, the dirt or impure substance has a clear track, and the entire respiratory system is unprotected. And, moreover, such incorrect breathing admits cold air to the organs, thereby injuring them. Inflammation of the respiratory organs often results from the inhalation of cold air through the mouth. The man who breathes through the mouth at night always awakens with a parched feeling in the mouth and a dryness in the throat. He is violating one of nature's laws and is sowing the seeds of disease. Once more, remember that the mouth affords no protection to the respiratory organs, and cold air, dust, and impurities and germs readily enter by that door. On the other hand, the nostrils and nasal passages show evidence of the careful design of nature in this respect. The nostrils are two narrow, tortuous channels containing numerous bristly hairs which serve the purpose of a filter or sieve to strain the air of its impurities, etc., which are expelled when the breath is exhaled. Not only do the nostrils serve this important purpose, but they also perform an important function in warming the air inhaled. The long, narrow, winding nostrils are filled with warm mucous membrane, which, coming in contact with the inhaled air, warms it so that it can do no damage to the delicate organs of the throat or to the lungs. No animal, except in man, sleeps with the mouth open or breathes through the mouth. And in fact, it is believed that it is only civilized man who so perverts nature's functions, as the savage and barbarian races almost invariably breathe correctly. It is possible that this unnatural habit among civilized men has been acquired through unnatural methods of living, enervating luxuries and excessive warmth. The refining, filtering, and straining apparatus of the nostrils renders the air fit to reach the delicate organs of the throat and the lungs, and the air is not fit to so reach these organs until it has passed through nature's refining process. The impurities which are stopped and retained by the sieves and the mucous membrane of the nostrils are thrown out again by the expelled breath in exhalation, and in case they have accumulated too rapidly or have managed to escape through the sieves and have penetrated forbidden regions, nature protects us by producing a sneeze which violently ejects the intruder. The air, when it enters the lungs, is as different from the outside air as is distilled water different from the water of this system. The intricate purifying organization of the nostrils, arresting and holding the impure particles in the air, is as important as is the action of the mouth in stopping cherry stones and fish bones and preventing them from being carried on to the stomach. Man should no more breathe through his mouth than he would attempt to take food through his nose. Another feature of mouth breathing is that the nasal passages, being thus comparatively unused, consequently fail to keep themselves clean and clear, and become clogged up and unclean, and are apt to contract local diseases. Like abandoned roads that soon become filled with weeds and rubbish, unused nostrils become filled with impurities and foul matter. One who habitually breathes through the nostrils is not likely to be troubled with clogged or stuffy nostrils. But for the benefit of those who have been more or less addicted to the unnatural mouth breathing, and who wish to acquire the natural and rational method, it may perhaps be well to add a few words regarding the way to keep their nostrils clean and free from impurities. A favorite Oriental method is to snuff a little water up the nostrils, allowing it to rub down the passage into the throat. From thence it may be ejected through the mouth. Some Hindu yogis immerse the face in a bowl of water, and by a sort of suction draw in quite a quantity of water. But this latter method requires considerable practice, and the first mentioned method is equally efficacious and much more easily performed. Another good plan is to open the window and breathe freely, closing one nostril with the finger or thumb, sniffing up the air through the open nostril. Then repeat the process on the other nostril. Repeat several times, changing nostrils. This method will usually clear the nostrils of obstructions. In case the trouble is caused by catarrh, it is well to apply a little Vaseline or camphor ice or similar preparation, or sniff up a little witch hazel extract once in a while, and you will notice a marked improvement. A little care and attention will result in the nostrils becoming clean and remaining so. We have given considerable space to this subject of nostril breathing, not only because of its great importance in its reference to health, but because nostril breathing is a prerequisite to the practice of the breathing exercises to be given later in this book, and because nostril breathing is one of the basic principles underlying the yogi science of breath. We urge upon the student the necessity of acquiring this method of breathing if he has it not, and caution him against dismissing this phase of the subject as unimportant. End of chapter 6. Chapter 7, The Hindu Yogi Science of Breath, by William Walker Atkinson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. 4 methods of respiration. In the consideration of the question of respiration, we must begin by considering the mechanical arrangements whereby the respiratory movements are effected. The mechanics of respiration manifest through 1. The elastic movements of the lungs, and 2. The activities of the sides and bottom of the thoracic cavity in which the lungs are contained. The thorax is that portion of the trunk between the neck and the abdomen, the cavity of which, known as the thoracic cavity, is occupied mainly by the lungs and heart. It is bounded by the spinal column, the ribs with their cartilages, the breastbone, and below by the diaphragm. It is generally spoken of as the chest. It has been compared to a completely shut conical box, the small end of which is turned upward, the back of the box being formed by the spinal column, the front of the breastbone, and the sides of the ribs. The ribs are 24 in number, 12 on each side, and emerge from each side of the spinal column. The upper 7 pair are known as true ribs, being fastened to the breastbone direct, while the lower 5 pairs are called false ribs, or floating ribs, because they are not so fastened, the upper 2 of them being fastened by cartilage to the other ribs, the remainder having no cartilages, their forward ends being free. The ribs are moved in respiration by 2 superficial muscular layers, known as the intercostal muscles. The diaphragm, the muscular partition before alluded to, separates the chest box from the abdominal cavity. In the act of inhalation, the muscles expand the lungs so that a vacuum is created, and the air rushes in accordance with the well-known law of physics. Everything depends upon the muscles concerned in the process of respiration, which we may, as for convenience, term the respiratory muscles. Without the aid of these muscles, the lungs cannot expand, and upon the proper use and control of these muscles, the science of breath largely depends. The proper control of these muscles will result in the ability to attain the maximum degree of lung expansion and the greatest amount of the life-giving properties of the air into the system. The yogis classify respiration into 4 general methods, namely 1. High breathing, 2. Mid breathing, 3. Low breathing, 4. Yogi complete breathing. We will give a general idea of the first 3 methods and a more extended treatment of the 4th method, upon which the yogi science of breath is largely based. 1. High breathing. This form of breathing is known to the Western world as clavicular breathing, or collarbone breathing. One breathing in this way elevates the ribs and raises the collarbone and shoulders, at the same time drawing in the abdomen and pushing its contents up against the diaphragm, which in turn is raised. The upper part of the chest and lungs, which is the smallest, is used, and consequently but a minimum amount of air enters the lungs. In addition to this, the diaphragm being raised, there can be no expansion in that direction. A study of the anatomy of the chest will convince any student that in this way a maximum amount of effort is used to obtain a minimum amount of benefit. High breathing is probably the worst form of breathing known to man and requires the greatest expenditure of energy, with the the smallest amount of benefit. It is an energy-wasting, poor returns plan. It is quite common among the Western races, many women being addicted to it, and even some clergy, lawyers, and others who should know better, using it ignorantly. Many diseases of the vocal organs and organs of respiration may be directly traced to this barbarous method of breathing, and the straining of delicate organs caused by this method often results in the harsh, disagreeable voices heard on all sides. Many persons who breathe in this way become addicted to the disgusting practice of mouth breathing, described in a preceding chapter. If the student has any doubts about what has been said regarding this form of breathing, let him try the experiment of expelling all the air from his lungs, then standing erect with hands at sides. Let him raise the shoulders and collarbone and inhale. He will find that the amount of air inhaled far below normal. Then let him inhale a full breath, after dropping the shoulders and collarbone, and he will receive an object lesson in breathing, which he will be apt to remember much longer than he would any words, printed or spoken. 2. Mid-breathing. This method of respiration is known to Western students as rib breathing, or intercostal breathing, and while less objectionable than high breathing, is far inferior to either low breathing or to the yogi complete breath. In mid-breathing, the diaphragm is pushed upward and the abdomen drawn in. The ribs are raised somewhat, the chest is partially expanded. It is quite common among men who have made no study of the subject. As there are 2 better methods known, we give it only passing notice, and that principally to call your attention to its shortcomings. 3. Low breathing. This form of respiration is far better than either of the 2 preceding ones, and of recent years many Western writers have extolled its merits, and have exploited it under the names of abdominal breathing, deep breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, etc., etc., and much good has been accomplished by the attention of the public having been directed to the subject, and many have been induced to substitute it for the interior and injurious methods above alluded to. Many systems of breathing have been built around low breathing, and students have paid high prices to learn the new systems. But as we have said, much good has resulted, and after all, the students who paid high prices to learn revamped old systems undoubtedly got their money's worth if they were induced to discard the old methods of high breathing and low breathing. Although many Western authorities write and speak of this method as the best known form of breathing, the yogis know it to be but a part of a system which they have used for centuries, and which they know as the complete breath. It must be admitted, however, that one must be acquainted with the principles of low breathing before he can grasp the idea of complete breathing. Let us again consider the diaphragm. What is it? We have seen that it is the great partition muscle, which separates the chest and its contents from the abdomen and its contents. When at rest, it presents a concave surface to the abdomen. That is, the diaphragm, as viewed from the abdomen, would seem like the sky as viewed from the earth, the interior of an arched surface. Consequently, the side of the diaphragm toward the chest organs is like a protruding, rounded surface, like a hill. When the diaphragm is brought into use, the hill formation is lowered. The diaphragm presses upon the abdominal organs and forces out the abdomen. In low breathing, the lungs are given freer play than in the methods already mentioned. Consequently, more air is inhaled. This fact has led the majority of Western writers to speak and write of low breathing, which they call abdominal breathing, as the highest and best method known to science. But the Oriental yogi has long known of a better method, and some few Western writers have also recognized this fact. The trouble with all methods of breathing, other than yogi complete breathing, is that in none of these methods do the lungs become filled with air. At the best, only a portion of the lung space is filled, even in low breathing. High breathing fills only the upper portion of the lungs. Mid breathing fills only the middle and a portion of the upper part. Low breathing fills only the lower and middle parts. It is evident that any method that fills the entire lung space must be far preferable to those filling only certain parts. Any method which will fill the entire lung space must be the greatest value to man in the way of allowing him to absorb the greatest quantity of oxygen and to store away the greatest amount of prana. The complete breath is known to the yogis to be the best method of respiration known to science. The Yogi Complete Breath. Yogi Complete Breathing includes all the good points of high breathing, mid breathing, and low breathing, with the objectionable features of each eliminated. It brings into play the entire respiratory apparatus, every part of the lungs, every air cell, every respiratory muscle. The entire respiratory organism responds to this method of breathing, and the maximum amount of benefit is derived from the minimum expenditure of energy. The chest cavity is increased to its normal limits in all directions, and every part of the machinery performs its natural work and functions. One of the most important features of this method of breathing is the fact that the respiratory muscles are fully called into play, whereas in the other forms of breathing, only a portion of these muscles are so used. In complete breathing, among other muscles, those controlling the ribs are actively used, which increases the space in which the lungs may expand, and also gives the proper support to the organs we need. Nature availing herself of the perfection of the principle of leverage in this process. Certain muscles hold the lower ribs firmly in position, while other muscles bend them outwards. Then again, in this method, the diaphragm is under perfect control and is able to perform its functions properly, and in such manner as to yield the maximum degree of service. In the rib action, above alluded to, the lower ribs are controlled by the diaphragm, which draws them slightly downward, while other muscles hold them in place, and the intercostal muscles force them outward, which combined action increases the mid-chest cavity to its maximum. In addition to this muscular action, the upper ribs are also lifted and forced outward by the intercostal muscles, which increases the capacity of the upper chest to its fullest extent. If you have studied the special features of the four given methods of breathing, you will at once see that the complete breath comprises all the advantageous features of the three other methods, plus the reciprocal advantages accruing from the combined action of the high chest, mid-chest, and diaphragmatic regions, and the normal rhythm thus obtained. In our next chapter, we will take up the complete breath practice.
Can you even hear me? Starting with your spotlight on me. Not enough to feed the hungry. I'm tired and I felt it for a while now. This sea of lonely. The taste of ink is getting old. It's 4 o'clock in the fucking morning. Each day gets more and more like the last day. Still I can see it coming. Walk steady in the river drowning. This could be my chance to break out. This could be my chance to say goodbye. At last it's finally over. Couldn't take this This poison's my intoxication. I broke the needle off in my skin. Pick the scabs and pick the bleeding. And assume that it was all in vain. Positive scab that's never healing. Just hit me in the face. A burning bridge that's so misleading. Poison's more potent now with the pain. Let it bleed. And take the red for what it's worth. Whoa. Watch the fire. Fill your lungs with smoke for the last time. You feel like dying, you might wanna sing. The fire department couldn't drown the city. They didn't even try to wash it clean. And what did you think that I was sober? And put me out 'cause I'm a fucking fire. A positive scab that's never healing. Crap that I kept this clean. The most that I can do for you is keep on lying. Stop lying if you can let it say. Let it bleed. Take the red for what it's worth. Whoa. Watch the fire. Fill your lungs with smoke for the last time. You feel like dying, you might wanna say. You might wanna sing. 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 You might wanna sing or scream it. This poison's my intoxication. I broke the needle off in my skin. Pick the scabs and pick the bleeding. Yeah, assume that it was all in vain. Let it bleed. Take the red for what it's worth. Whoa. Watch the fire. Mama, fill your lungs with smoke for the last time. If you feel like dying. If you feel like dying. If you feel like dying, you might wanna sing. You might wanna sing. You might wanna sing. You might wanna.
All right, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I know I left that on a little longer than 25 minutes, so I promise the next one I won't leave on very long. But this is just the same concept using different names. This one gets into a little more detail about something they call the Danishin, Dantian. It's somewhere near your diaphragm where the breath comes in and where the energy is kind of where prana, or the energy that is in the air that we breathe in, how it's filtered and spread out through the body. And it gives techniques in the book, the pages PDF I have. It shows pictures on how to move and stuff like that. So it's going to say a lot, like as you see in figure this and figure that. So once again, if anybody wants any of these 3 books that I've played on here, Corey.LeBlanc1111 at gmail.com. I will send you all 3, plus any other book: Kabbalah, The Great Work of Self-Transformation, Outwitting the Devil, Think and Grow Rich, Financial Sorcery, the Kabbalion, so on and so forth. Whatever you want, whatever I have, I'll give to you. But anyways, I was going to get into what I want to say about how Mercury is the middleman for all the other planets, the messenger of God, and why becoming a magician or a witch, why you have to, doing an invocation to Thoth and Mercury and all that will help, and how it can heal and make your manifestation works. But I'm going to do that after this recording. I know it's kind of shitty having to listen to all this before I get to the good stuff, but trust me, you are going to want to hear what I have to say, because like I said, I never put this together as I did until yesterday, and it all fell into place so perfectly. So, but this time I promise I will only do 25 minutes of it. I just have to get my daughter's lunch ready. It's already all cooked, cut it up for her. But as soon as I'm done that, I will be right back with the good info. So here's the last recording and book for the same concept, but just from a different, we got the magical perspective, we got the yogi perspective, and now this would be kind of like the Taoist, maybe Buddhist, like I said, Asian version of the same concept. So anyways, here we go. This is Qui-Gon and Kunji.
Taoist and Hindu teachings contain the fundamental wisdom that can be found behind most Oriental practice. All the teachings of the mantra's sounds, the mudra's gestures, and the mandala's symbols come from these sources, as well as from the many applications of meditation those teachings utilize. Chinese medicine is also a very important source of knowledge for Qigong practitioners. The martial arts that were developed by the Shaolin monks use the mystical secret science to control the energy in the body. This profound science is called Qigong. Qi is energy in its manifested form, and Gong is the practical method of application. Therefore, Qigong methods are the means or techniques of controlling the flow of energy inside your body. After a while, with a lot of practice, you can also experiment with the manifestation of Qi outside your body. The most popular form of Qigong in North America and Europe is Tai Chi Chuan. The art of Qigong existed long before the martial artists incorporated it in their fighting styles. Therefore, there are a lot of Qigong practices that are very easy on the body. These practices are not linked with any specific fighting techniques, and it is not necessary to learn to fight to learn these techniques. 12. Like many esoteric philosophies, the Buddhists teach that, in order to attain spiritual illumination, one must undertake the necessary exercises with a sincere heart. The secrets of healing, the ability to see beyond ordinary reality, the gift of communication from mind to mind, these are all aspects of the Buddhist magical size 10. Like every group of alchemists, they also seek to expand their lifespan beyond the normal period. Yet none of these abilities will manifest for you unless you begin with the proper attitude. The Qigong techniques shown in the first lessons are the basic methods which will enhance your ability to experience spiritual energies. After you have achieved the ability to sense energy, we will concentrate on the practical aspects of the Oriental esoteric science of Kujin. We encourage you to learn more about Chinese medicine and the channels of energy in the body. It is also very important for you to choose a meditation technique and to meditate frequently if you want to benefit from the enormous potential of the methods explained in this manual. For beginners, a simple meditation technique is provided in this book. As you learn more and as you diligently practice what you have learned, your experiences with Qigong and Kujin will improve. 13. Oriental Energy Systems, Jin, Qi, Shen. In the last section, we explained that energy takes shape in a broad range of manifestations: light, movement, electricity, life. Thus we find that energy will manifest in your body in many ways. We have classified them here as 3 types of energy: Jin, Qi, and Shen. These are the energies that flow in the physical body according to traditional Chinese medicine. They take other names in Occidental occult philosophy, and we will speak about these other terminologies elsewhere. Jin, the energy that directly influences the physical plane, is called Jin. It is the power that is converted into physical movement. It is heat energy, and it is the force behind every action. Jin can be converted from Qi, which is a more subtle energy. Many methods for converting Qi into Jin involve compressing Qi until it is dense enough to become available on the physical plane, where it can manifest. Jin can produce heat. It can create more intense electric currents in our nerve system. It can heal our body more quickly than Qi alone, and it can augment physical strength. Jin is energy acting on gross matter. It usually flows through the lower abdomen. You will develop the Jin level of energy through the use of breathing exercises and Qigong practices. Jin will be used in many of the physical practices you will be learning in the next several sections. Jin assists us in developing willpower and self-confidence. Willpower and self-confidence help the Jin to manifest physically. 14. Qi is energy in its ethereal form. It is our life force. It is bioelectricity. It is naturally used by the body for all of our life functions, and it is used by the brain to operate. Qi can move from one place to another before it is converted to the active form of Jin or to the elevated form of energy known as Shen. We wish to develop and accumulate Qi because it is easy to use and because it offers us the widest range of applications. Breathing techniques enhance the movement of Qi in the body, as well as our ability to make effective use of mental imagery. The more freely Qi can move in and around your body, the healthier you will be, and the more clearly you will be able to think. Qi can be stored inside the body battery for later use, more on this in other chapters. Qi can move through the body and, with experience, outside the body. It can be transferred to someone else for healing purposes, or for the exchange of Qi to another person. Great Chinese doctors use it in all sorts of medical techniques. Martial artists use it to augment their power and speed. It is also spelled Qi in the case of Qigong, or Qi. The Chinese and Japanese characters are not alphabetical, they are pictograms, so their spelling in English varies. 15. Shen is the spiritual aspect of energy. It is more volatile and harder to feel. It is always present, but the average person won't even know it is there. It is the energy used in internal spiritual methods like prayer and meditation. As we develop Shen, we also develop our spirit, raise our consciousness. Little information about Shen is available to the average person. In fact, a practitioner only becomes aware of its existence after extended training. 16. Chakras. We will be very brief regarding the definition of the chakras. The topic of chakras is a subject too vast to cover in detail in this book, but we will give you the basic information needed to use the different techniques shown here. Chakras are the main energy centers found in the physical body. Each chakra has specific primary functions you will need to know. These will be described along with the techniques that activate those functions. There are 7 major chakras. 1 base chakra, located at the base of the spine, extends from the base of the pelvis at the front of your body to the coccyx at the back of your body. The base chakra thus covers the entire base of your body. 2 navel chakra, located about 1 inch below your navel. 3 solar plexus chakra, located at the solar plexus, right under your sternum. 4 heart chakra, located directly in the middle of the sternum, in front of your heart. 5 throat chakra, located in the little indentation of bones at the base of your throat. 17. 6 third eye chakra, located between your eyebrows. 7 crown chakra, found at the top of your head, with the center point exactly on top of your head, but spreading down to surround part of your head, around the forehead and the back of the skull. Another important chakra is called the J gate, and it is found at the back of the head, on the pointy bone at the back of the skull. Behind the navel chakra, the middle of the body, inside the lower abdomen, is a place which is called the Dantian in Chinese medicine. We will refer to it in our practices. It is in the Dantian where the energy of the body is gathered and stored for later use. It is not necessary to remember all these chakras right now. We will give you the information you need about the chakras throughout the book. 18. 19. Techniques as you start training. We encourage you to eat well and exercises regularly to keep your body in good health. Some of the techniques you will be learning are more demanding than others. Respect your limits, while always trying to go beyond them safely. Since some of these techniques might raise your body temperature aggressively, we encourage you to drink a lot of water. It is good to experiment with all of the techniques at least once, until you discover which ones you prefer. Once you decide what works best for you, feel free to spend more time on the practices you prefer. Follow your heart and do not doubt yourself. You should use at least 1 physical practice, 1 heart practice, 1 practice for the mind, and 1 for the spirit. The first subtle results will come quickly, then a longer period of time might pass before you see any tangible results. During this plateau period, your body will be accumulating and increasing your energy level. Do not begin your training by focusing on the end results you may even to ally attain. Instead, enjoy the immediate benefits that these exercises provide. Before all else, seek love. The power associated with these practices will come by itself. If you seek power, it will take much more time for the effects to manifest, and they will not be as impressive. 20. The physical body breathing normal and reversed breathing. Normal breathing is very different from the automatic breathing cycle that keeps you alive when you are not thinking about breath in. The reason is simple. No one really breathes correctly without thinking about it. Most people take in only 11 milliliters of oxygen per minute, far below the minimum oxygen your body needs to be healthy. A normal breath is a healthy breath. An inhalation should fill your lungs almost completely without straining your abdomen or diaphragm. The breath should naturally fill your abdomen without raising your upper torso. A deep breath should not even make your upper ribs move. Place your hand over your heart, where your ribs connect to your sternum, between your solar plexus and your throat. Take a deep breath and feel to see if your ribs are moving. If they do, you are filling your upper lungs too much, and not enough air is getting to the bottom of your lungs. Although it is impossible to keep your rib cage totally immobile, which is not the objective, it should move as lightly as possible without requiring too much effort. When you exhale, let your abdomen rest until the air doesn't come out naturally anymore, and then pull your abdomen in slightly without force. It won't completely empty your lungs. If your ribs 21 are moving inward or downward too much, it means you had to lift them upward when you inhaled, or that you filled the upper part of your lungs too much. Breath in, abdomen out, upper chest normal, breath out, abdomen normal, upper chest normal. When you breathe normally, it is your abdomen that pushes out slightly and pulls in slightly as you inhale and exhale. The breathing cycle should not require excessive force, but it should fill your lungs up to 80% of your maximum capacity. To fill your lungs to 100% of their capacity requires effort, and it is not natural. Breathing out with force and pulling in your abdomen slightly at the end of the breath brings your lungs to 10% or 20% of their capacity. Just as it is not healthy to fill your lungs to 100%, it is not healthy to empty them completely. To empty your lungs totally requires the application of more force than to bring them to a natural state. 22. To learn this for yourself, try filling your lungs completely without hurting yourself, while keeping your rib cage as immobile as possible. Then, hold the air in for 10 seconds and breathe out completely, holding your breath out for 10 seconds. Let all your muscles relax and allow your body to breathe without influencing it, while you think about the difference between these two ways of breathing. Now, take in a normal breath, filling your lungs down to your abdomen with only a slight effort. Hold the air in for 3 seconds, and then let it out without any other effort than a slight pulling inward of your abdomen at the end of exhalation. This is what is meant by a normal breath. Normal breathing will be used in all of the techniques that focus on the elevation of self, such as meditation, mental and spiritual training. The reversed breath is used in physical development to open the channels of energy in your body and to enhance your ability to manifest your ki on the physical plane. Reversed breathing. To clearly understand the principles of reversed breathing, you must first practice accurate normal breathing. It is important to keep your rib cage almost motionless while doing the reversed breathing. You should also understand the principles of Jin, Qi, and Chen in order for this practice to be effective. The reversed breathing cycle is used to concentrate or compress your Qi in a way that will make it denser, compressing it so it can become available on the physical plane. It is used to produce Jin. 23. From your Qi. When you compact the Qi, you will feel heat. This is the Jin. To clarify this for you, forget about the normal breathing method for a moment and let yourself breathe instinctively. Imagine yourself in a situation where you are very alert, perhaps needing to defend yourself, thus requiring that you are ready for immediate action. While closing your fists, Take in a quick, deep breath without thinking. Most people will notice that the abdomen automatically pulls in when you are breathing in, and it pushes out slightly when you exhale. Experiment a bit with this breathing. When in danger, the body automatically does a reversed breath, getting ready to pour energy into physical action. The quick breath mentioned above was only meant as an example. For the reversed breath method, the breath should be drawn in as smoothly as the normal breath unless stated otherwise. Breath in abdomen pulled in upper chest normal, breath out abdomen, let out upper chest normal. 24. When we are working with methods that focus on managing physical phenomena, we will be doing reversed breathing. The upper rib cage still doesn't move, and you should still breathe slowly and comfortably. As you breathe in, contract your abdomen, pulling it in slightly. As you breathe out, release your abdominal muscles completely, pushing out slightly at the end of the exhalation, without force. 25. Radial key gathering method. Before you do anything that utilizes key, you must have key reserves to work with. Working without reserves of key will deplete your own life force, which should be avoided at all cost. Gathering key is quite simple, and you can do it just about anywhere at any time, as long as you aren't doing something that requires concentration. For example, don't do this when you're in a moving car. When you gather key, you and everyone around you will get a little bit more prone to lose their concentration. For example, everyone could get sleepy, or hyper, or feel strange sensations in their body, especially if they are not used to feeling key. Moreover, you will need to be able to use your concentration for the visualizations that are necessary to successfully gather, store, and move key. The energy that you envision is real, and it will follow your concentration. As you visualize it traveling with your breath down to the area below your navel, the key will be moved to your dantian. When you visualize compressing it in your dantian, this too will actually occur. You may use the pictures as a guide, and you will find it useful to think of the energy you are moving as a white cloud which flows like a stream wherever you direct it with your mind. 26. Storing key in your dantian. Place your palms on your dantian, which is just below your navel. Fig. 1. Men should have their left palm inside, touching their dantian, with their right palm over their left. Women should have their right palm inside, with their left palm over their right. If you are standing, bend your knees slightly. If you are sitting, try to keep your spine straight, and do not cross your legs. As you inhale, visualize white light coming from all around you, penetrating all the pores of your skin, flowing into your body and filling your inner dantian. Remember that what you visualize is actually occurring. As you exhale, all of this white energy is condensed into a concentrated ball of light in your inner dantian, in the middle of your body just below the level of your navel. Gather key by breathing normally, deeply, and calmly. Take in key from all around you and concentrate it in your inner dantian. 27. Fig. 1. Active gathering. Stand up. Take a few normal breaths and relax. Slightly bend your knees and begin. As you breathe in, imagine a white light coming from above you, which enters through the top of your head, rather like a white wind, descending in a continuous flow to your dantian. Please refer to Fig. 2 below. You may use this figure as guide for your visualizations. As you breathe out, the energy remains in your lower abdomen and becomes a ball of light. Take 9 relaxed breaths, absorbing key, the white light, from the area above your head. You may find that you tighten the muscles of your abdomen and arms when you try this for the first time. That is a normal reflex. Practice using just your will to draw the energy down, while keeping your muscles relaxed. Fig. 2. 28. In the next exercise, you will draw energy into both hands, through the trunk of your body, and down into the dantian. You will inhale, and draw energy in through both hands simultaneously. To do this, extend your arms out to your sides, with your palms walking away from you. Absorb the energy through the middle of your palms. drawing the energy through your arms, the trunk of your body, and down into your dantian. Repeat the sequence. Inhale and draw the energy down to the dantian 9 times. Relax your body and make this entire process as effortless as possible. Next, you will repeat this process with both of your feet, drawing the wind-like energy up into the soles of your feet, and up Fig. 3:29 through your legs, directing the flow to your dantian. When you have the energy centered in your dantian, visualize the white energy ball growing stronger and stronger with each of the 9 breaths. Once you've taken 9 breaths, while drawing the energy into your dantian through each of the 5 centers, filling your abdomen from the area above your head, and from both of your hands and feet, you will proceed to draw energy through all 5 centers at the same time, using all 5 entry points simultaneously, and filling your dantian with 9 breaths of energy. 3. Finish this exercise by placing your palms over your dantian and taking a few normal breaths. This will help to store the energy you have gathered. 30. Feeling the flow of ki while your body is taking in oxygen and circulating it, it is also naturally circulating bioelectric energy. This energy is used to manage bodily functions and to sustain life. The calmer and more smoothly this energy flows, the healthier we are and the more clearly we think.
All right, everybody. Sorry, I just wanted to pause that, and if I have more time at the end, I will put it back on so you can finish it. However, like I said, that one is a slideshow, just as Source for Secrets is a slideshow on my YouTube channel. Pause the pages, read them, or email me, and I'll send them to you. Now, before I get into all this Mercury, Archangel, Thoth, Hermes, Mercury stuff, I want to just update everybody. So, a long time ago, I made an episode on how I lost my paycheck, or my paycheck didn't come in because we switched bank accounts. I did a candle for Jupiter at 7 a.m. before anything, after I had just had sex with my wife, actually, and we just woke up. So maybe the subconscious is really close and all that. But anyways, and then I found out that they didn't have the right number. This is on a Thursday. Paycheck was supposed to be in on a Wednesday. So by Thursday, I called them, and we had the wrong bank and phone number. She said 3 to 5 business days, and this was on a Thursday. So at this point, okay, well, the candle's not going to do shit. Sorry, Jupe, for bugging you, bud. I'm not going to blame you if it doesn't happen. And that afternoon, it was in my account. And like I said, the girl on the phone was adamant that it shouldn't have been in probably Tuesday, Wednesday the following week. So that was sick. And I totally know it was magic. Now, same thing happened to my wife. Her check that following Wednesday didn't come in, and we still hadn't received it. Okay, she's about to get paid again this Wednesday, and she's been calling them off the hook, and nothing. And then this Friday came in, and our baby bonus also didn't come in. So she was stressing. We only had my one check come in, and I made some money off of that second income I was receiving that I told everybody about. So anyways, I got the first pay for that on Friday night. Yeah, Saturday night. So yesterday was the first day in a while that my wife wasn't stressing and worrying about her money situation and all that. But she still has called them and asked them, and they were pretty sure it was going to be in on Wednesday, but they still hadn't seen it returned yet. They figured by now it would have been returned to the company that sent it to her, which is the government, and then from there they were going to reissue it to the new account. So she was upset about that. So anyways, yesterday she wasn't worrying about it because we had money and all that, and she wasn't worrying about it, all that. I kept telling her, it's not like it's gone, it's not like we don't have the money, it's just not there yet. It's still going to come to us. We'll be better off if we can make it like this. We can make it with the money even easier. So, and then, I did a few candles for it and all that, but I can try to do magic for it. But if her mind either doesn't think the magic's going to work, she knows I'm doing it, or she keeps dwelling on it, it's not there, well, then she's going to get more of what she's dwelling on. It's going to keep not being there. So, every morning, every day, I made a candle. Not every day since that Wednesday. I only started doing it after that week. So I want to say the beginning of this week, sorry, this is the beginning of a new week. So the beginning of last week, on Monday, I did something for it. On Wednesday, I did something for it. On Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I did something for it. Okay, so I didn't do it every single day because, you got to forget about it and stuff like that. So, and I really think it was the yesterday. Thinking when I thanked the sun for allowing me and my wife to let go of the fear. I asked the sun to thank him for when I had opposition against me to go back and get a real job and stop pursuing magic and all that. I thanked him for giving me the strength and to continue on my path and purpose. And I thanked him for helping my wife let go of the worry and stress and anxiety and all that. And that was enough because today she just got that first check that she was missing. We haven't got the baby bonus yet, but she got her check. And I mean, some people might say this isn't magic, and it's like she earned that money, so how is this magic? Well, it's magic because they never once said that it was going to come in the mail. I mean, we can track mail. Everybody knows that. We track mail nowadays. We're tracking numbers and all that. They never once said they were going to send it in the mail. She didn't want to wait for it to come in the mail. She was very adamant about that. And, I'm glad someone did it anyways. And I thank the gods and goddesses. Now I'm not only going to thank the sun, I'm going to thank them all because I gave them all a hit on this. Like I said, I don't know if I did it on, like I said, I did it every second day. So, it wasn't, maybe I didn't use Mars because I didn't do it on Tuesday. Maybe I didn't use Jupiter because I didn't do it on Thursday. But I may have used them in an hour on a different day. But even if I didn't, I'm still thanking all of them. Because it's not just this I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for a lot of things. But I just wanted to tell everybody that I've been continuously doing works for that and all that. And because she keeps bringing it up, keeps putting my mind on it, so I would do my little trick where I channel a happy fucking emotion and think about it coming in. And truth be told, I did a visualization yesterday that I learned from a book by Basil Lacroix, and it's basically visualizing. Whatever you want coming in the mail or whatever you want coming to you. It's basically as simple as that, But in your visualization, you go to an altar in the wilderness, and it's like a special, like you're walking somewhere, like right near my house is a park. So I walk down this bike path, and through this park, I see this opening of trees. And then from there, all of a sudden, I see something bright. Now, this is paraphrasing. It might not be exactly like that. And when I go there, it opens up this beautiful etheric meadow, and it's got this huge altar there. And then when I go to this altar, there's a water and the altar, and through the water I see my visualization is basically how the process works. And I'd used this before when I got 10 grand, and it came through the form of the baby. Like I said, so we got a disability check, a back pay from the first 2 years of my baby's life for every month, which added up to about 7 grand. And then my wife got another 3 grand check for something else because baby bonus would have been more knowing that baby disability or something like that. So in total, I got my 3 grand all because of that, which was fucking my 10 grand. So all because of that. So I did the same thing yesterday. Whenever I was laying on the couch, I visualized that same thing, and lo and behold, so I don't know if it was the candles, I don't know if it was a visualization, but that's the thing. Who cares? Next time I'm going to do all of them again. Because I don't want to say, well, it was probably just the visualizations and only do that. Or it was probably just the sun. Or it was probably just the moon. No, I don't fucking care what it is. I'm going to keep doing it all. And eventually maybe I'll be able to pinpoint it. And then when that time comes, then cool. But until then, why would I risk not getting what I want just to not do a step? No, do all the steps. Do every single step. Anyways, I'm going to read what I wrote yesterday when I was getting all this information all at once. And because I only got about 30 minutes left and I don't want things to cut out, I need to apologize to Spreaker. And because I kept saying they took shit off my episodes, they cut shit off my episode, the one with Grant Morrison, and that's not true. During that episode, I was live, and my Wi-Fi signal must have been weak, and it kept saying reconnecting. I did that a lot of times. And now I know that's what happened, because when I went on the Spreaker app, there's 3 episodes of the Grant Morrison episode. Now, to me, I taped it all together, but I said reconnecting and it said live. Now, it has said did that reconnecting thing and actually dropped the whole fucking show, which pisses me off. And because it didn't do that, I didn't think I had to go in and delete it, because normally when it does drop the whole show, I go in, I go delete that, and I just redo it all. And so I just figured they cut it off, and that's probably what happened with my last episode. I probably just deleted a little version of it and didn't think of it, and I'm just blaming Spreaker. So sorry, Spreaker, for blaming you for cutting my shit off. I said that a few times, and I know it's not true. And you know what? My bad. I was ignorant, and I didn't know, so I am sorry. It wasn't Spreaker. It was my Wi-Fi connection, so technically I paid for that. It's my Wi-Fi. It's the one I'm using it, so it's technically my fault. But anyways, I'm running out of time, so let's get into this. So when I started doing my channeling, my reading, and all that. I just start with what I want to talk about, my thought. The day I told you guys I wanted to do the connection between healing, Mercury, Thoth, Archangel Raphael, all that stuff, and that there was one. I was basically doing the fake it till I make it thing. I know there was one there. I know there was one. Did I know it all? No. Have I written a bunch of notes about it? Yes. Have I ever put it all together? No. So by staying it and saying that I know it, it's a version of lying, and you could say it's lying, but it serves you whenever you do it in that way, because I know it's not lying if you have faith in what you're talking about. You know what I mean? If you know you're going to be a success and acting like you're successful already whenever you're fucking flat broke, well, it's not a lie when you have all the faith in the world in your heart that it's going to happen. And technically, that's magic. That's how you're supposed to do it. So that's basically what I did when I told you that. Now, I didn't get into it because I didn't have enough time. But normally when I say that out loud, I can start getting some, it's basically like telling the thoughts around me, the spirits around me, whatever, my mind, what I want to focus on, okay? And by letting it go, I did a whole different episode after that, I want to say. And then when I finally got to it, yesterday, just randomly outside, I'm like, well, since I can't record right now because I'm watching the girls play in the pool, I'll just fucking write. And this is what came out. So let's go. All right. Can it be as easy as Mercury holding the caduceus? Even the caduceus has wings, both air and water, to keep the human body healthy and in balance. So what I meant by that was, the snake is a representation of Scorpio. So that would be the water, and the wings would be a representation of air or spirit. Either one. Mercury could be the air, and the wings could be the spirit. Mercury is also a man, so that could be earth. But anyways, if you breathe right and take in the right water, then yes, it can be as easy as that. Now, I'm sure where you place your planets. Now, I'm not sure where you place your planets, but like I said, a lot of the things I've looked at yesterday and today, Mercury is placed as Earth. And I think that's because the sun is fire, and the opposite of fire is Earth. Air, Earth, and then it's Venus. I don't know. Anyways, they put him as Earth probably because he is a man. I don't really know why that is, but I don't use him as Earth, okay? But Earth is like, I am a Taurus, and Taurus is Earth, right? And it's slow, whereas Mercury is fast. Now, the moon is technically the fastest one because it goes through every sign every 2 days, but that's because it's closest to us. Now, if you made Mercury and the moon have a race, who knows who would win that? But technically, the moon is the fastest, I want to say. But anyways, it takes only Mercury over 100 days. I don't know if that's 180 or 120 or 101 or 191. But I know it's not 200 and it's above 100. I just can't remember the exact number. But over 100 days to circle the sun because it's so close to it. But anyways, around the sun, and air is a positive, right? Air and water are the opposites. Air is a positive, water is the negative. And then fire is the positive, and earth is the negative, okay? Whereas the air is a positive, air is a positive like fire is positive, but fire is a double positive because out of the two, to me, that's the push, okay? That's how I interpret it. You could have a different interpretation, but I'll keep making my point as I go, okay? So fire is the double, and air is the plus minus, all right? So, positive, negative, and Mercury is the symbol is, it's got that little U or a C with the circle with Venus on it, right? And technically this is both Venus and Mars together because Hermes is hermaphrodite, is Mercury is both, all right? And if you don't see how that is, if you take that U, all right, you take it off the head, you leave the symbol there of just Venus, okay? Now put that U right at the bottom of the line, right? Then you're going to have kind of like an arrow, right? It's going to be more like a U, but basically it's an arrow. This is both the man and the female, or you just take that U off and you push her thing down. But anyways, you see what I'm getting at, okay? Symbol if, where was I? Okay. We see the polarity most with Mercury, with everyone blaming their shitty circumstance on Mercury retrograde. Sorry about that. Blaming their envy. It's like what everybody does with the devil. They blame all their sins on the fucking devil. But the devil is supposed to punish sins, not make you sin. But with Mercury, it's a Mercury retrograde. If you know it's a Mercury retrograde and you're going to go get drunk and crack your phone because you drop it and you're going to blame that on Mercury, yeah, okay. That's like getting a DUI or crashing your car and blaming it on the alcohol. Yeah, okay, if you didn't drink, you wouldn't have done those things. But the alcohol didn't make you drink. Mercury didn't make you fucking go out with your phone and get drunk and drop it. So, Mercury, sorry, I lost my spot. Okay. Here we go. Well, Mercury, he's, shit, where the fuck am I? But that's Mercury's nature, okay? He's good or bad if you want to put it in those terms. But I like to say he's positive and negative. Mercury can't be polarized. He can't be good or bad because he's depolarized. He's actually both, Whereas we try to be very neutral. Mercury is neutral. He's both polarities, okay? Communication, talking to somebody, it's either true or it's false. You know what I mean? It's either fact or fiction. Like, it's one or the other, and that's going to depend on the person's point of view. But anyways, to Mercury, okay, here it is. I have trouble reading on here, sorry. Cannot be polarized because he has both polarities. Mercury, Gemini, is ruled by Mercury. Gemini is the twins. It's two faces. The symbol is the Roman numeral 2, which is the two pillars, because it's the third sign, so why would it be the number 2? No, it's the two fucking pillars. It's positive and negative. It's your lungs, right? We just talk a whole lot about air and shit like that. The lungs, there's 2 of them. Your hands, there's 2 of them. Why is your hands in your lungs? Because it's positive and negative in your hands, right? Your lungs is the air you're taking in. It comes in and it goes out, right? That's Mercury. He's both. He's not positive or negative. He's what you're striving to be, which is why there's Archangel Raphael for healing, which is why there's Thoth for the knowledge and wisdom, witchcraft, and hermetic and alchemy and all that. That's why there's also Hermes for that. But Hermes is, the combination of, to me, if you put Mercury aside for now, you're dealing with like deities, okay? Thoth, Archangel Raphael, archetypes. And between those is Hermes. He's the middle ground, right? He's the middle ground because he was technically supposed to be a man that lived on the earth that wrote the Kabbalion, or taught the Kabbalion, taught those. It was written by 3 initiates, apparently. But he's the middle ground. He's positive and negative. He's using both. And I'm going to get in that a bit more. Okay, so I'm not one of the other polarity. Archangel Raphael would be, let's say, the positive, right? God, right path, right? Positive, okay? And then Thoth. He's supposed to be the ruler of the underworld, right? Some people call him an alien, whatever. We'll say he's the negative, even though. But that would be like the subconscious mind, the woman, the gender would be the minus, right? Okay, Hermes, like I just said, would be in the middle, or technically Mercury. That's why I like using Mercury, because to me, Mercury encompasses all 3 of those guys. The Hermes, the Thoth, and the Archangel Raphael. But anyways, both were all connected. So, using my same model that I said where the planets are, right? So I initially said the Moon and Jupiter are both down there at water. And then on the right, you have Mars. On the left, you could say Venus and Gaia. But let's just keep Venus there and keep Gaia out. Let's put Gaia in the middle, okay? She's the plus in the middle. But we'll just put Venus over there and Mercury across. So you got 1 in Earth, 1 in fire. And down below, you got 2 in water. And up above, you got 3 in air. And I always had a problem with that because I like things to be equal, right? So initially I said, well, let's put the sun over there and Mars, because it's kind of, sun's exalted in Aries, right? So that makes sense. And let's throw Gaia there. This way it's 8, it's nice and even. But I actually found a way around that now. So, Saturn, it would be the negative, right? Let's say that. Let's say Saturn is like I just described Mercury being. It's like air. Air is a minus and a plus. So because Saturn is the ruler of the Earth realm, us, which Venus rules Libra, right? Saturn is exalted in Libra, right? So let's just say Saturn is the minus part of the air, right? Because there's polarity in everything, right? So let's say Saturn is the minus part of the air, closer to Earth. And let's say the Sun is closer to fire. So he's the plus, which is kind of where you would probably think Archangel Michael being the color and all that. I know he's supposed to be in air, but anyways, Raphael. But Raphael is air and then Michael is fire. But anyways, let's just go with that for now. Okay, take my model. Okay, so the Sun is the plus of the air, okay? Because he's closer to being fire, right? Because too much of sun and too much of the polarity of the sun, too much positive, can make you, thinking all about me, all conscious mind, whatever, you're too much. And all thinking about Saturn, minus over there, the minus plus of the air, can get you black-hearted, can make you satanic, can make you, whatever, not thinking about yourself at all, thinking about others, or being, black-hearted and all that. So, now we take someone like Mercury. Mercury's in between both of them, because technically he's air. Now, this is why it's important to start with the three of them up there. This is initiation. This is opening chakras. This is balancing. This is Kundalini, okay? I'm going to explain all this in the 19 minutes I got left, okay? So, you're trying to figure this out, like me, and this is the milestone that you have to pass. I'm giving you guys the answer, but I'm only giving you the answer because I think it's super important. So Mercury's in between these two guys. This is you. You're becoming a magician. You want to become a magician. You want the 8 above your head. You want to manifest things. You want to fucking save the world. But first, everybody tells you got to please Saturn. So Mercury has to talk to Saturn. Well, Mercury can, because he is positive and negative, and he's also air. So it corresponds. So he can go over to Saturn, get Saturn on his side. All right, he's got Saturn on his side, and now he's got to get the sun on his side. So he goes and gets the sun on his side, right? Let me get back to my notes just to make sure I get this all right. All right, so both Sun and Saturn is minus blah, 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 blah. All right, so dealing with the sun, this is why Mercury is the magician card, the number 8 above the head, infinity. If you look at the Mercury symbol, now it's going to be hard to say with my words, but I'm going to do my best. The circle with the U on the top of it, right? Well, in that, if you disregard the plus below it, it almost looks like an 8, does it not? You're just missing the other top of the U to make it a circle, right? If you add that there, it's an 8. Well, Mercury has 3 symbols, Gemini has 3 symbols, right? It's the only one. Everyone else only has 1 symbol, sigil, basically. Saturn does have 2 though, because Saturn has that TH looking thingy, and he's got a circle with a dot, or he's got a circle in it. That's your circle of protection. And the sun is a circle with a dot in it. So it's inside, that outer ring, where the sun is. Sun is in the middle of the solar system, and Saturn's on the outskirts, right? So that's why Saturn is the ring, and the sun is the ring with the circle, the dot in the middle of it, right? So that's both their glyphs, right? And if you're dealing with Saturn as an earth element, that's why I use the TH for the earth element. And when I'm using Saturn as an air element, I'm using the circle, right? Because you're putting the circle to protect you when you're doing your magic. Anyways, so when you take Mercury's glyph and you add it to Saturn's circle, you're going to add it to that U, and it's going to complete and makes the 8, right? Right? All right? And the same goes for whenever you go over to the sun side. The sun, you have the circle with a dot in it. You put Mercury's thing there, and he completes them as well, right? Binary, the circle with the dot in it would be like a 1, would be positive. The circle with nothing in it would be negative, right? You got 1 there, you got nothing there. So, but anyways, that's how Mercury completes them with glyphs. But this is all symbolic of what you have to do. You have to get Mercury and the sun are 2 polar opposites. The sun and Saturn are 2 polar opposites, right? You have to get them both on your side. You have to focus on what you want to do, your passion, and go for it, who you are. But at the same time, you got to do it with a limitation. You have to appease Saturn. You have to understand that there are limitations in this world, that you're not limitless. You don't want to fall off the cliff like the fool, believing in this, like, oh fuck, I can manifest wings, I'm going to fly. You can do that, but you're going to have to do it within limitation and figure out what's the best way to make a human fly, because we can't actually fly. So by doing that, by focusing on what you need to do, your passion and all that, while taking care of your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, while dealing with Saturn, while understanding the nature of things isn't what we've been taught, but by also going forward and being yourself, being unique, doing what you need to do, taking care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself, but you need to do it with a limitation. You need to get Saturn and the sun in harmony, because they're both in that air sign, and they're both polar opposites. One's cold, one's hot, and you need to understand you need both. There's times to be both. You need to be middle. You need to be depolarized, all right? That's Saturn is the same. Okay, of good. Saturn and the sun are furthest from each other, polar opposites. Using Mercury or being the magician, being between both those would depolarize you. You can use both Saturn and the Sun in balance and harmony. Satan and Christ, okay? Which Satanists and Christians won't agree with each other. Neither will Judaism is all Saturn, right? The Old Testament is Saturn, the New Testament is Christ. Who's the reader? It's us, Mercury. We have to make the distinction. We have to figure out how to put those two together. Because if you go, that's why there's two different religions. That's why Judaism is different from Christianity. Because there's different, they disagree with each other in the Bible. The Old Testament is wrath, and God tells people to kill people. Whereas in the New Testament, Jesus never told anybody to fucking kill anybody. He told you the way to go was through the heart, was through emotion. Forgive them for they know not what they do. To be a child, to go into the kingdom of heaven. You know what I mean? But yet in the Old Testament, they literally use divination to kill people. There's stories about in Book of Samuel. Anyways, they throw a guy off and he gets eaten by a fucking whale or whatever. Divination is basically the gods that told him what to do, right? That's like using tarot cards to kill one of your family members. That's in the Old fucking Testament. That's the polarity switch. And Jesus never fucking done that. When they were sacrificing animals, he flipped out and told them that they shouldn't do this shit. That's the same fucking book that the Christians use, that I use, or I used to use. But anyways, but magicians like myself, Frederick Xavier, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to assign Saturn to Satanism or Judaism and the Sun to Christianity. It could be anything, okay? But you have to, whatever in your life is the same as in my life, the devil was bad and God was good, whatever that is for you. So if you're a witch like Birch, he's going to have a different polar view, but he got those in line as well to become that Mercury in the middle, basically, okay? Afraid to understand that both are needed, and by being between both, you get the most success. If we say, you get the most success, and that's the trick. That's like the first step. That's your initiation. That's opening your root chakra, basically getting that line to come up. I don't know if it's going to connect your solar plexus chakra and your root chakra at that point. I'm not going there and saying that, but that's how you open up that root chakra. You're using Mercury to do that, okay? And now let's go down to the polarity. Now that was just a polarity within air, because what's the first step? What does Freya tell us to do? Yes, the first elemental step is earth, but first thing you have to do all your banishings. You have to control your thoughts. You have to only take in the right thoughts and banish all the bad thoughts you don't want, right? And that's the polarity between Saturn and the Sun. That's what's going on during your initiation. What you're doing is you're getting rid of all your old programming, right? And you're putting in new programming. So Saturn could be all that old programming in there that was in you that you have to delete. Or that could be the Sun, however you want to fucking look at it. It's probably both. You have good programming and bad programming, but you have to get them all out of there and start fresh. You have to remain depolarized. Have some depolarized programming in there, basically. So that's just within the air element. That's just beginning, because the thoughts are so more important. Now, that's not like the elemental grade of air I'm talking about. That's just your initiation. That's the neophyte. That's why it's not really a step, because basically, if you're a newbie like me and you're going to see all these correspondences, you'll be like, well, Saturn's both air and earth, but yet now Earth has 2 and air only has 2, or do we air have 3 and then the rest like that, or do we add God? You're confused. Well, this is what you have to figure out to get to that next step. But it's not just figuring this out, it's implementing it, it's doing it, it's doing the process of, figuring out what you need to do, and, getting your conscious mind and your subconscious mind on the same page. You're always going to be doing that, but admitting it, knowing it, that's what you have to do, and always working at it is basically connecting the Sun and Saturn. Once you have the Sun and Saturn working together, saying the Saturn's going to stop, it's they put it in different terms, right? Up until this point, you were in karma, cause and effect. But whenever you get your Saturn and your Sun on the same side, well, you're no longer going to be keep creating karma, because you're banishing everything. You're protecting yourself from doing anything you say or do. You're going to realize it. You're going to try to stop doing it. Your banishings and your protections and banishing the thoughts and all that are going to help you. Your grounding, your middle pillars, all going to help you stop doing that. So you're working towards not creating any more karma. So basically, there's a saying going from karma to grace, whereas Saturn lets up off you for a little bit. He doesn't fucking fuck with you anymore, because you know your limitations and you're trying to better yourself. You're going through the transformation process. So yes, you're going to get life lessons coming to you that you're going to have to learn, but it's not going to be as intense because you know what you know. You can use magic and shit like that. So that's the first step. Now, I'm not going in this necessarily as steps, but that would be your first step. So now you got those two there balanced. Now Mercury has to work on the gender, the positive and negative of earth and fire. All right, because our elemental step next would be earth, right? And the opposite of earth is fire. So you kind of have to look at it. Fire is Mars, and earth is Venus. Right there, we already talked about how Mercury is both those signs. He connects those two. So I'm not going to get into too much of that because that's going to be your elemental grade. But like I said, that's how Mercury plays into this. Yes, he's an air sign, but people also say he's earth. Some people say he's fucking fire because some people think the wand is a fire thing. There is an air dagger and there is a fire wand. That's for a reason, right? And then you have Mercury with the caduceus. So he's both the earth and the air elements in one symbol, one sigil. He is up there. He just fucking made the sun and Saturn get along up there. He connects them. He completes them with the 8. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention this. It's not a coincidence that Saturn and the sun both start with an S, all right? And when you get them both on the same side, what do you have, right? You have 2 fucking S's. What are 2 S's? It's like 2 fucking snakes. Put them together, it makes 8, or it makes the caduceus. That's the kundalini. When you put, like I said, or, you fuck the names. If you want to just use the sigils, you take, you take Mercury and you put it to the sun or you put it to Saturn. And you got the fucking 8 there again. That's why he has the caduceus. That's how you get the caduceus. By combining those two. When you get Saturn and sun on the side, now you're getting Archangel Raphael. You're getting the healing, okay? Part of that, you're getting the knowledge, right? You're asking Thoth for the knowledge. You're getting all his wisdom, right? That's what's happening. And you're becoming Hermes now. You got the staff. That's the healing part. All right, so let's fly down to Jupiter and the moon. Now, I'm not going to get into that because that's an episode all on its own. And because the moon waxes and wanes, okay, it could be complicated. Now, I will get into it, but it can be complicated. And this is not one of those times where I'm just trying to, I'm always open to more information, but I'll give you a little taste, okay? The sun and Saturn are both are opposites, right? But the sun and Jupiter, Christ, Christianity, Jesus, Jupiter, okay, it's very similar. Jupiter, water, Jesus was a fish, Pisces, shit like that, okay? Jupiter ruled Pisces, but he's the sun of God. So it's a play on Jupiter and the sun, so they're very similar. It's the air and the water version of it, okay? And likewise, moon, Diana, right? She's witchcraft. Saturn, that's, it's Old Testament, but it's also Solomon, everybody has to please Saturn, and the moon. The moon has a good side and a bad side. So does Saturn. Saturn's harder to read that. But they both do. They're very similar. They're both underworlds. They're both dark, whereas the other ones are both light. So right there, I'm not going to get into it, but you can see where Mercury would be needed to make the peace once again. Because right now, 2020 is coming around, that new election cycle, and there's a few people talking about it. I don't like to focus on it, but that's Jupiter and Saturn are about to be opposite each other above us, And I guess people do fucking facts like this, but I guess every time this happens, when there's an election, there's always an assassination attempt, apparently. Now, that's not a threat or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's what history shows us. And, you got fucking things saying the Simpsons are predicted him getting in office, and they also show him being assassinated. And you know what? Now that you know what Grant Morrison thinks, what do you think they're trying to do? Well, maybe they're trying to turn fucking that into a super sigil. Doesn't that put a whole new spin on the whole 9/11 thing? How they said, well, the Simpsons predicted 9/11. Well, Grant Morrison just said he made a sigil, and the things he made in his comic book happened to him. He ended up in the hospital. So that gives you a whole new fucking line of thinking on what the Simpsons are doing. Now, maybe the Illuminati is not putting messages in TV. Maybe the TV messages are fucking happening in the world. It's just another way to look at it. I'm not saying that's real or fake. I'm just telling you what it is. I'm just giving you the information. You fucking make up your own mind and do your own research after that. But anyways, I got 5 minutes left, so I got to get through the rest of this. But sorry. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it at that for today because that's a lot of information to take in and you don't want overload. Now, I'm going to get into that polarity because you got to get the sun and Saturn on the same side to connect them to Mercury and Venus, Same thing, right? That's the first elemental grade. The water stuff and then the air stuff are the last 2 grades, or a little, that's the progression anyways, earth, water, fire, and then air kind of thing. But when you hit water, you have to look at air. Just like when you hit earth, you have to look at fire. So, but with the things we just learned from the cells from Jerry Tennant and what we just heard from those books, the audio books and all that about water, what Jerry Tennant said about emotions getting stuck in your body. Well, let's think about that for a second, okay? Emotions, water, emotional blocks. He said that can cause disease. Now, when he talked about when Jerry Tennant talked about soldiers taking their lives with PTSD, well, they're not a stress or an anxiety, because stress and anxiety is thoughts, it's air, it's you stressing about something that hasn't happened yet. You're literally thinking about something, kind of visualizing, oh fuck, when this happens it's going to be so bad, and it cripples you, and you're worried about it to the point where you just don't do anything because you don't want it to happen, right? You don't want to cause that thing to happen, or you just want to hide and ride it out. But as PTSD, these soldiers have seen this shit, have seen the bad shit, okay? Because I'm not saying I understand this, because there's no way I could understand this, okay? I'm not saying that at all. I'm just trying to make the distinction between what the emotional block is and the air block is, the thoughts and the water that's trapped in your body making disease. These guys are fucked up emotionally because they lost someone or they saw something. And even though they're not there anymore, their mind is still there because they haven't let that go. So it's fucking them up. And it's the same, it's similar with the air, but to me, I mean, I'm not going to say it's not as intense, because depression is another form, would be the greater, shittier version of the anxiety of the air, where things are scaring you so much you don't want to come out. And once again, you replace the word thoughts, the anxiety, those worry thoughts and all that. You replace that with spirits, and it's going to make you fucking not want to do that. But it's not that fucking easy either. You know what I mean? It's not that easy to just banish some of that shit away and get rid of it. But it can be fucking crippling. And everybody knows, stress, number 1 cause of cancer, or whatever people fucking say, and anxiety this, and and it's not wrong. Like, just stressing about things, I made a distinction saying, people say, well, if you talking about everything that creates cancer. Well, it's not that. It's worrying about whatever you think makes cancer. It's the actual worrying and putting emotion in it that makes the fucking cancer happen. It's the stress is basically what makes it happen. Everybody can say smoking makes cancer and all this, and you can say fucking oranges make cancer. If you fucking think that fucking vegetables can give you fucking cancer, and if you truly believe that, it'll probably fucking happen. I'm just saying, it's the belief, it's the power of belief. So that's what you need to look into, and that's why I gave you how to fix your cells, how to put high alkaline waters in there, how to make electrolytes, how to exercise, how to fix yourself on the cellular level. Now I just gave you how to breathe right, because if you're breathing wrong, now you know how to breathe right. If you're a mouth breather all the time, you got to stop breathing through your mouth as much as you possibly can, and do it through your nose. Your mouth is the second option. It's if your nose is blocked. Your mouth is meant for food. Taking in air through your mouth would be like putting fucking food up your nose or drinking up your nose. Yeah, possible. And if your mouth is blocked, they do that, put tubes through your nose and shit, but it's the second option. Breathing through your mouth causes anxiety. It causes stress. This has been fucking proven. I try to tell my family, but they don't fucking listen. But it's been fucking proven. When you breathe through your mouth, it causes stress and anxiety. See people in the horror movies, they're all panting and shit. That's fucking why. You got to breathe through your nose calmly, in and out. Breathing through your nose cleans your fucking blood. I mean, I learned that in school. They're not even hiding that. It's just simple. So, and like you said, like the book said, it opens the pituitary. There's energy in your breath. Like I said, you can't see UV rays, but we know they're there. When you start saying, well, there's energy in your breath, you're like, oh, you're a fucking idiot. Okay, well, do you see the UV rays? No, but you know it's there, right? Dumbass. Well, it's the same fucking concept. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Do as much research into this. If you want the books, email me. They're as good as yours. They're on my YouTube, but like I said, it's a slideshow. But the breath, you can do everything from fucking manifest things to cure your health, to get rid of these thoughts. That's the connection I was trying to hit at, and I didn't want to say it, but breathing, taking in the right water can help you remove these emotional blocks, can help you remove these anxieties and stresses, because you're going to get healthier. There's so many ways, too many ways to get into. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great fucking day.